the Maillot Jaune. The boys of blue and yellow scored a united win on the team time trial. But as the mountains approached, so did the discord. Looking for weaknesses, Alberto Contador broke away from the contenders and a composed Armstrong on stage 7, sending the message that he's here to win at all costs. Two former champions, one team, and countless variables ahead. Questions will be answered as the ride to Paris continues. Next on Versus. With the first rest day of this year's tour in the books, it's back to the business at hand on Bastille Day, racing. A couple of days ago, the riders got to fly to Limoges, busy for Lance and Alberto. Everyone wants their autographs. On the plane, was it assigned seating?
We're planning top secret stuff.
Lance and his buddy and boss, Johan Branil, side by side, but everyone wants to know, is Alberto the lone wolf of the team? Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Cadillac pre-race show, along with Bob Roll. I'm Craig Hummer. You can't win the Tour in the first week, but as we know, you certainly can lose it. It's been an interesting start to the 2009 edition. No story has been bigger, however, than Team Astana's dominance and perhaps division. Everyone wants to know, are we making this stuff up or is it real?
Well, anytime you have two great champions in any sport, I don't care what the sport is, Tour de France or Tiddlywinks, they are going to do battle. It's inevitable. In this year's Tour, they happen to be on the same team. Maybe a better question would be, why did Cain and Abel fall from grace in the Garden of Eden? And neither Lance Armstrong nor Alberto Contador, if asked, would say how many are the enemy, just where they are.
Biblical references aside, a lot has happened in these first 9 stages. So right now, let's take you to the Wells Fargo highlights. We started all the way back in Monaco. It seems like almost an eternity, but guess what, world? Lance Armstrong's back.
Lance Armstrong announcing that he is back in the Tour de France for real after 4 years of absence. He set the fastest time when he was out on course.
Lance would finish, and then Alberto Contador later would leave the start house. He would send a message as well.
Contador quite a bit faster than Lance Armstrong on that, so a little bit worrying to the Armstrong camp after stage number 1.
In stage 3, a couple dominant stories. The Columbia train, the crosswinds, and Lance Armstrong being in the front group.
Armstrong making that split, Contador missing it out. Armstrong gains 41 seconds back on Contador. That gives him a 19-second advantage on his own teammate, Alberto Contador. Contador not able to make this breakaway, and Lance Armstrong right in there with Jaroslav Popovic, his teammate, gaining time back on Contador.
All questions of unity would be put aside in stage 4 because they had to be. It was the team time trial.
The team time trial is a chance to see who the strongest team is in the Tour de France, and there's no question about it. In this year's race, it is Team Astana.
What a message they would send. The closest would be Garmin Slipstream, but they would be well back. Move ahead to the ascent of Arcolis. Early on, it seemed as though Astana were going to stay together all day, but at the finish, Contador would fly.
Contador had his own plan for Arcolis. The team's plan was to set the tempo, control their rivals, but Contador decided he wanted to take a flyer. He's a magnificent climber. There's absolutely no question about that.
Whether or not it was the plan is where a lot of this debate rages on. In stage number 8, however, it would be back to the status quo.
A few bigger fish to fry for Team Astana on stage number 8, and Lance and Alberto would stay together throughout the day, let their teammates do all the tempo.
In stage number 9, our last before the rest day, Astana, another show of force and dominance up the Tourmalet.
A long ascent of the Tourmalet, and more importantly, perhaps, a long, twisting, dangerous descent. Lance taking the lead for the Peloton on that, and he would go all the way down to the valley below, but the rest of the group was with him.
Those are your Wells Fargo highlights of our first part of this year's tour. Let's look at our Hampton Hotel overall standings. No Centini still in front. Contador, Armstrong, and Leipheimer closely following him.
Levi in 4th. Bradley Wiggins from Garmin Slipstream. He's doing a great job in 5th place there. Christian Vandevelde from Chicago, Illinois, the Windy City. He's in 8th place, just 124 down on our leader. Vincenzo Nibali rounding out the top 10.
Andy Schleck's brother Frank, 2 minutes and 25 seconds back. Your defending champ, Carlos Sastre, almost 3 minutes behind.
Sastre, Evans, Menchov, it's getting a little bit dicey for those guys to win the Tour, even this early in the race.
North Carolina native George Hincapie, 5 minutes back. He's been doing a ton of work for Columbia HTC, and Utah's David Zabriskie in 69th position. So much has happened already, but now we start to look ahead. Today, stage 10, another stage, at least on paper, it looks like, Bob, for the sprinters. So put your professorial hat on again. I want some grades from you.
Let's take a look at how the sprinters have done so far throughout the Tour. I want to give, with 2 stage wins and dominant wins at that in those stages, an A for Mark Cavendish. He is on fire. Watch for him to compete for another stage win today. Current green jersey holder Tor Hushovd also won a stage for himself in Barcelona. A- for him. Great to see Tyler Farah in the mix, day in and day out, establishing consistency. B+. The green jersey from last year, Oscar Freire, would be a D if he hadn't made the split over the Tourmalet. So that vaults him for effort up to a solid B. He does need, however, to win a stage for this to be a successful Tour.
Today is Bastille Day, the national holiday throughout France. It's certainly not a day off for the cyclists. There will be no stopping to smell the sunflowers, just pushing the pedals as fast as possible.
The 2009 Tour de France pre-race on Versus is presented by Cadillac.
The relationship you have with your car isn't so different from your other relationships. Some burn hot and fast, but don't last very long. Some burn for a while, but don't throw much heat. And some smolder beautifully for a long time.
The award-winning Cadillac CTS sedan. And coming soon, the all-new CTS Sport Wagon.
There are moments in life when there are no limits, no boundaries, no walls. That the rules of gravity just don't apply. Because there is no statute of limitations on greatness.
Status quo for most of the jerseys, but for the 3rd time in 3 stages, the polka dot changed hands, this time on the shoulders of Egoy Martinez. Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to our Cadillac pre-race show. It's now time to welcome in our prime ministers of petanque, Phil Liggett and Paul Sherwen. Now, if you don't know what petanque is, it's a game like bocce ball or even lawn bowling. And guys, I hear you had a good rest day, but it got pretty competitive.
It got very competitive. It's a game which you play in all the parking lots around France, and it's usually with the elder statesmen of the village. But we stayed in a village yesterday called Bonnat, and the race goes through there for the very first time this year, and the local mayor was pretty excited, to say the least. He built all the grandstand with the help of a few workers. He challenged the Versus team to a game of petanque, the fool. Because Paul Sherwen, myself, and our producer Matty Vinnick got through to the final, up against the mayor, his assistant, and we won the game 7 points to 5.
Phil, congratulations, but Paul, I think you know this all right. You're not supposed to beat the mayor of the town you're staying in.
Well, that was a little bit of a problem. I'd have forgotten as well that it's Bastille Day today, so beating that mayor in his own town, on his own lawn, the day before Bastille Day was probably not the right form.
It's a bit like Lance Armstrong, Craig, because I said to Paul before we threw the last 2 balls, let the mayor win. He says, not likely, we're here to win.
No, I was just going to say, no gifts today, Phil. Well, here's what you were awarded, this nice little trophy here, but
yeah.
I've got a little stickly point to go over with you guys. Did you know that there are 375,000 licensed petanque players in France?
Oh, huge.
3,000 licensed in England. So I'm going to need to see your licenses before I can hand this over.
No, it's huge. In fact, that one of their players was really good, but thank heavens he was off form because he was throwing some great balls.
Do you have your license? Your Ugandan license?
My Ugandan license.
Very good. Thank you very much. Pass that down, Bob. Congratulations yet again. We're just all about the awards. All about the awards here on Versus. But in all seriousness, guys, today is an interesting day that we haven't seen in almost 2 decades, Phil. It's the first time since 1990 the riders are going to race without radios. Why is this so substantially important?
It's a very, very emotive subject, this. That radios first came into the Tour and into racing in general just on 15, 16 years ago. Now, before then, of course, the roads weren't as busy as they are now with what I always call traffic furniture, roundabouts, bollards, traffic lights, points of danger. And I think that's the one argument that the riders have with the team managers to keep the radios is the safety aspect. But as far as that is concerned, that's good. But I'm deadly against the radios for use of dictating team tactics. I believe, like Bernardino does, that you should be able to ride your own race and win it for yourself. We don't get the situation now where a guy comes home, throws his hands in the air, and he's second because he didn't know there was a chap up the road. You can't have that anymore because the team manager will have told them.
Well, actually, I've just heard, just coming through some breaking news.
Here we go.
The Super Bowl next year, the coach will not be able to talk to the athletes on the field, and in fact, they've decided that in basketball, the coach can no longer call the shots. So,
quite right too.
I think you have to have the radios. It's all part and parcel of the modernization of the sport, and I've always been there. And I was with the team that actually brought modern radios into the sport, and that was with Motorola, and Bob Roll was one of the first adepts of the radio. But he used to tune it into a music radio station instead of listening to the team manager.
Yeah, before they developed the radios, they thought, should we have a callback where the riders can actually press a button and talk to the team manager, talk back? Well, they decided in my case they were not going to use that.
Guys, how do you think it's going to affect the race today specifically?
I think actually what's going to happen is that the race is going to tend to stay together more, and they were hoping that without the radios it'd be more exciting, more unpredictable, and the breakaway would have a better chance to win. But I think the opposite's going to happen. I think the teams that want it to come down to a bunch sprint, teams of Mark Cavendish, teams of Thor Hushovd and Oscar Freire, they're going to be a little bit more paranoid about not knowing what the time gap is, not knowing how many guys are up the road, and I think they're going to make more tempo, and it's going to have the opposite effect, but we'll see.
Well, we are going to see, in fact, we'll not only see in today's stage number 10, but we'll also do this again on stage number 13 a few days from now. Well, on paper, Paul, it looks like another day for the sprinters, so take us through the map.
The riders coming out the day after the rest day, just south of Paris, actually. We will be heading in a northerly direction for the majority of the stage. Riders leaving from Limoges on the way to Issoudun, where the race will be finishing for the first time in its history. A fairly undulating course, and I would say it's a great day for the men to try and get into a breakaway, especially French, because after all, it is Bastille Day. Having a look at the profile, you can see it's undulating, but there's nothing really too much to scare any of the guys on the road this afternoon.
A few interesting facts for you for stage number 10, 121 miles, about the same as Los Angeles to San Diego. It's the first visit to Issoudun, and in fact this is a town of some 24,000 people, and they are really turned on by the arrival of the event today. We're regulars though, of course, at Limoges.
I'm going to feel right at home then. LA to San Diego, my Pacific Avenue Posse crew, they do that right all the time. So in any case, we're going to see if the sprinters come through. And a sprint stage. I wonder who the first pick is going to be. First, though, we've got to give you, of course, our standings in our Cadillac Performance Predictions board. Ooh, after the rest day, I still have that slim lead over my teammate Bob Roll. Paul Sherwen at 10, Phil Liggett at 5. The Colonial Cat Clash going our way at the moment, my friend. I'm going to keep this yellow jersey right here because it's getting close. And with Paul Sherwen with the first pick today, I think I know who you're going to choose.
You don't have to be a brain surgeon to make the first pick this afternoon. I'm obviously going to go with the red, white, and blue, but it's not the United States. It's Great Britain, and it has to be Mark Cavendish. He is the fastest man on 2 wheels here at the Tour de France, and he's obviously going to come out after the rest day, having dragged himself through the mountains, and see whether or not he can telephone home stage victory number 3 at this year's Tour de France. So thanks for letting me go first.
Oh.
Well,
am I next?
I don't know. You're not actually. So you may have to groan again because Bob is second today.
I'm going to take Thor Hushovd, the man in green for the moment, likes these rolling hills, and I think the battle for the green jersey will give him the best of the rest. When you have first pick, you got to go with Cavendish, so it's a question of getting some points, and I think that because he's really competitive and wants that green jersey back, that he will race at least for second place. No one's going to beat Cavendish if it comes down to a bunch gallop, though.
It's interesting. A lot of the other riders have said just that now with Tor in that green jersey, they think he's smarter than Cav. Not necessarily as fast, but
that's true.
Good pick today. All right, you're next.
Oh, thank you.
Yes,
right.
You're welcome.
Well, Craig, clearly I'm better playing pétanque than I am at this game. But, however, I think that I might have gone with Tyler Farrar, even if I had him in first pick today, because I think he will get the better of Cavendish on one of the stages. And it's a tough stage today, and it's the day after the rest day. Things happen. And I would love to see Tyler Farrar get a stage win, because this guy's enjoying his first Tour de France.
I'm enjoying that music in the background.
Lovely.
That's good old picking, isn't it? Very good. All right, well, I've got the fourth pick, and these guys picked three great ones. However, I was surprised Oscar Freire was left at the end. He showed us a couple days ago coming down off of the Tourmalet that he's got some great legs. Today suits him as well as the other sprinters with that straight run at the line, and he is an opportunist as well. So I'm hoping the Spaniard comes through on the roads of France today. Oscar Freire, Tor Hrushchev, the man, Cavendish, and of course, Tyler Farrar.
We could all score points today.
It's all on the line, isn't it?
It's just which way they come to the line.
This is a stage, we should remind you, that is a postcard day for the Tour de France. Rolling hills, big crowds, the sunflowers we're going to see for the first time in the Tour, so this is not one that you're going to want to miss. The stats don't lie, though. In the last 10 years, there hasn't been a bunch sprint on Bastille Day. Can Mark Cavendish or any of the other sprinters buck the trend?
The 2009 Tour de France pre-race on Versus is presented by Cadillac.
Every question on there, you know, is very descriptive of yourself and what you're looking for.
eHarmony asked me things about myself that needed to be asked.
So I like the system. I like that it does the work for you. It really does.
You just got to take your time. You have to fill it out honestly.
I finished my questionnaire for eHarmony on September 6th, and I was matched up with Lee on October 2nd.
It all starts with the eHarmony questionnaire. Log on today and review your matches for free.
Buckle up, everybody, because we're taking a ride that can strain your relationships and hurt your pride. It's the credit roller coaster, and as you can see, it kind of bites. So sing the lyrics with me. When your deck goes up, your score goes down. When you pay a little off, it goes the other way round. It's just the same for everybody, every boy and girl. The credit roller coaster makes you want to hurl. So throw your hands in the air and wave them around like a wannabe frat boy trying to get down. And bring them right back to where your laptop's at. Log on to freecreditreport.com. Free credit score and report with enrollment and triple advantage.
Hamels looks toward home. The pitch. He walks him.
Come on, Cole. Keep pounding the corner. Give him a chase one outside. Who are you?
Oh, Dad.
Oh, no.
Wearing the same cap the pros wear doesn't mean you're one. New era. Make the majors or buy one at the store.
Hey, I'm Jake of Body by Jake and founder of Exercise TV. It's time to make the commitment to lose weight and get fit. That's why I created Exercise TV, to give you access to the best workouts from the best fitness trainers. Exercise TV delivers hundreds of workouts every month, so you'll never get bored. If you have digital cable, it's free on demand. And now, Exercise TV takes fitness online with exercisetv.tv, where you can get free workouts, downloads, and exclusive exercise tips. Make the commitment. Your workout is waiting.
Crank it up. The ultimate NASCAR pre-race party is only on Speed. NASCAR Race Day. Be there. You'll be in the middle of the action. Live with John Roberts, Jimmy Spencer, Kenny Wallace, and thousands of NASCAR's biggest fans. And get the inside track with live reports from Wendy Venturini.
Let's get to the stories at hand.
Don't miss NASCAR Race Day. Built by the Home Depot. All season long. NASCAR on Speed. Oh, yeah. Be there.
With
the return of a champion, drama surrounding him at every corner, 3 mountain stages, and a well-deserved day of rest in the books, the Tour de France enters phase 2 of the event with Lance Armstrong sitting very comfortable in 3rd place. Now, as France celebrates Bastille Day, we switch gears, beginning with a sprint trilogy spanning across central France. All eyes will be focused on the Manx missile Mark Cavendish, who is yet to be beaten in a straight-out sprint. Today, he will go for his 3rd stage win. But the jersey for the sprinters now lies on the shoulders of Thor Hushoff. The battle for green emerges as the battle for yellow lays dormant for now. The Tour picks up from Limoges, France next on Versus. France celebrates their independence with a national holiday. The riders in the Tour de France get back in the saddle now to race through the centre of this beautiful country. We're heading up for a first-time ever finish in the little stronghold of Issoudun, a population 24,000. A tortuous approach to the finishing line as well, but this is where the sprinters might or should have their day. Hello everybody, welcome back to our coverage of the Tour de France here on Versus. I'm Phil Liggett, this is Paul Sherwen. Well, suitably refreshed, we're now back in the saddle for a long ride today for the riders, and it's going to be a good battle. But you know, these first 9 days all over the world has been talked about just one man. His name, Lance Armstrong. He's come back to the Tour. Paul, I reckon he's proved to us he's back at the top.
If anybody had any questions about whether or not Lance Armstrong was going to ruin his reputation by coming back to the top of the sport, I think all of those questions have been answered, Phil, over these last 9 days of racing, because Lance Armstrong climbed into the start house of the individual time trial to start off with, and I have to say it was like turning the clock back 4 years, because he was totally on form.
Well, it was a slower start than normal, a 10th place finish on the day. As we moved on to stage number 3, though, it proved that Lance Armstrong still had the brain of a bike rider. They chased down the 4 leaders as they headed into town, but they read the crosswind into La Grande Motte, and Lance Armstrong, amongst the favourites, was one of the few to make the split. He was now climbing up the overall classification.
Well, that was already an indication, Phil, that not only did he have the form to come back and rival in this Tour de France, but he'd not lost any of his tactical knowledge. Out on stage 4, the team time trial, the discipline of the sport that he has always loved, he came out to give the team their victory, and the most important thing there probably is the fact that he was one of the more dominant riders in that team time trial event.
They won the stage and he moved within 22 hundredths of a second of the yellow jersey, so next day he was out on the same time as Fabian Cancellara, who remained in yellow. Now we're into the Pyrenees, and Contador was attacking, but so too was Lance Armstrong.
Armstrong was present and correct on everyone and covered every one of the attacks on the run-up towards the finish, although it was his teammate Alberto Contador that snatched back a few seconds on Armstrong to go ahead of him in the overall standings. But maybe what's more important, the team started to ride as a solid block, and even though the team weren't in the yellow jersey, they rode as if they were dominating this event.
The Pyrenees themselves at the end kept all of the leaders together, and they were all under the escort of Team Astana. Even when others made a move, Armstrong himself proved just how strong he really has been and answered the call himself on occasion.
Yes, he really has, I think, enjoyed his return to the Tour de France, and I think too, Phil, the French public have enjoyed the return of Lance Armstrong to this great bike race. He's enjoyed the mountains, but I think he's setting himself up to something very special down towards the end, because this race is far from over.
And of course the other talking point is nobody knows just who is the leader of the Astana team, Lance Armstrong or Alberto Contador. Contador said at his press reception yesterday he would not attack Lance Armstrong if he went clear in the mountains. But nobody said what Lance would do if Contador did that. Anyway, let's swing now towards the sprinters today. We're back on the flatter road of the Tour de France. We talk about the race for the green jersey. But there's one sprinter head and shoulders above the rest of the world, and his name is Mark Cavendish.
He's absolutely incredible to watch. He is so rapid on the approach to a town. Last year he won 4 stage victories, but he opened up his account, Phil, on the first road stage of this year's Tour with a very dominant and emphatic victory.
Yes, his win coming very early on there at Brignoles, and it was a perfect sprint by his team Columbia HTC as well. Then wearing the green jersey as points leader, he did it again, imitating a telephone, announcing his new sponsor on the block. He really is extremely fast, Paul, as he comes down. That green jersey he wore into the mountains, but he lost the lead eventually to Thor Hushoff, Paul, because whereas Hushoff got little points in the mountains, Mark couldn't follow that.
Well, it all started when Thor Hushoff got himself the big victory in Barcelona at the top of a very long ascent, 2 kilometers uphill, not the kind of sprint that Mark Cavendish liked. But don't forget that Thor Hushoff is a previous winner of the green jersey competition, and he knows exactly how to get that jersey up to Paris. You've got to get over the mountains, and you've got to score points on every individual stage where it's possible, and even go for the intermediate sprint points as well.
So he's hit Cavendish where Cavendish can't yet ride, the mountains, and the green jersey points are up for grabs again today. The situation as they go out, just 11 points separates Thor Hushoff from Mark Cavendish. Rojas, who sprinted well through the Pyrenees, is up into third. Cholik is fourth, and Oscar Freire is in fifth place.
Well, there are different places to get points out on the course. I don't think Mark Cavendish will go for the intermediate sprint points where you can get 6, 4 and 2 points for being the first 3 riders across the line. He'll gamble on the finish line where you can get 35 points for the win, tailing down to just a single point for 25th.
So let's begin then with a Nature Valley stage reset. Down at the start, 171 riders lining up today. The rain of the early morning has gone away, but it's still threatening mid-race as we see the green jersey go away of Thor Hushoff, the yellow jersey with Ronaldo Nocentini in the saddle there.
And once again, Phil, as soon as they came up to the starting house, at the real start of the day, it looked as if there was going to be no attacks because everybody seemed nice and calm. Maybe the possibility of a strike because of the banning of radios today. But once we got to the first climb of the day, the 4th category, Côte de Salvanet, a break had gone clear, a break of 4 riders.
Benoit Vorenard, Mikhail Ignatieff, Samuel Dumoulin, Thierry Hupon are the breakaway as they went through the sprint here at Saint-Laurent-les-Églises. They had a lead of 3 minutes and 50 seconds.
Out onto the next climb of the day, no real contest as they came up to the summit of Côte de Saint-Laurent-les-Églises. And on this occasion, it was going to be Ignatieff who went across the top there in first place.
Well, they're making steady progress over the field, but they had been stopped at a railroad crossing, so they did lose time, so they weren't escaping by the usual amount early on. They then went into the first sprint of the day for green jersey points. Nobody here really interested in the green jersey points, so the result was nobody sprinting. This was at Laurier, 44 kilometres done. The lead was 3 minutes and 10 seconds at this point.
Having got a maximum advantage of 3 minutes, the main field started to respond a little bit behind and started to reduce it.
Well, that's our Nature Valley stage reset. So we're looking down on the action and through these beautiful pictures. Remember, they're coming to you this year in high definition as well. So please check your local listings for more information on that. Little bit of rain on the camera lens here from the helicopter. It is cloudy, it's overcast. We've had good flashes of warm sunshine, a high of 72 and a light wind blowing across the centre of France today. It's basically a beautiful day for bike racing, Paul, if perhaps not quite the day for the spectators.
Slightly cooler for the riders after the very hot start we had when we moved away from Monaco all the way across the southern part of France, and I think the riders will appreciate this coolness this afternoon, especially on a day which is rather strange for them because on 2 stages of the Tour de France this year, the race organisation have decided to ban the radios.
Only 9 riders dropped out so far. Well, 3 are still in on the pulse today. We'll see how the hearts are being treated, and we'll check in on those throughout the race. Well, the peloton under the escort here of Rabobank, Liquigas, Astana, noticeably not the yellow jersey of AG2R on the front there, nor his team.
Well, I think the team of AG2R will come forward if anything dangerous appears to be happening. They want to try and keep the yellow jersey in their team for as long as possible, and they're already starting to feel that they can keep it right the way to the foothills of the Alps. These are the 4 leaders now. Benoit Vorenard in second position there. Samy Dumoulin in the red jersey. On the back is Mikhail Ignatieff, who's been in a lot of breakaways so far, and leading them is Thierry Hupon from the Skill Shimano team, and he's actually a local rider, and I saw him stop a little bit earlier on in the day just to say hello to his wife and kids.
That's right, and 3 out of those 4 breakaways, always surprised, are French today on Bastille Day here in France. So as you saw by the time gaps, the nearest to the race leader is Hupon, and he is 52 minutes plus behind. So for the moment, they're not going to chase them down, but I don't know if it's a result of no radios and the protest by some of the riders, but the pace has been very slow today, at just 37 kilometers an hour. Now what's this here?
Crash.
There's a little tumble in the center of the field.
And a bit of a panic too. The rider there, that looks like Christophe Moreau over on the right-hand side. He's looking for a bike. One of the riders from Garmin has gone down too.
Française Desjeux, drinking bottles squashed on the road there. All the mechanics rushing to see who is where. That is the champion of Norway there, Kurt Attel Arvesen. Maybe through the camera we can see this happen. I think it's a ricochet effect. There'll be a number of fallers in different places. On the right there, somewhere there, right in the center of the pack.
And it looks like it was Arvesen who went down first, and normally you wouldn't expect the crashes to happen. It was Arvesen that went down, his hand in the air. I think he's waiting for the team car to come up alongside. He probably needs a new bike.
And he's also hurt, I think. No, I hope this is okay. I think he's going to get he's taking his shoes off here, but I'm not so sure he's going to continue. Let's hope he does. We'll find out more about that very shortly, as we continue now to catch up with the race. As I was saying, the speed has been very slow today. I don't know if it's a mild protest by the race, but the four leaders are not exactly running away with it, even though it is slow. So I wouldn't be surprised if it is some form of a mild protest. Very, very painful this for Kurt Attel Arvesen. Not a good sign. Remember, he is on Saxo Bank, and he's going to be wanted in the mountains, especially to aid Andy Schleck, who has said the Alps will be very different to the Pyrenees, and he's a good climber, so it's not a done deal at all for Team Astana.
This guy looks very sore to me, Phil. He's probably going to wait for the race doctor to come up alongside him and have a look. He was the first one to go down. In fact, probably the reason for the crash was he touched the wheel of a rider in front and went down very hard.
Well, this doesn't look good to me. He looks as though he really is knocked around on the left side, and he's in quite pain. He is waiting for the doctor, but the doctor's, I don't know where he is. The ambulance has gone by, checked him out. Taking a little while to get going again. You can feel the pain with him today, I'm afraid.
It's always a sad sight to see a guy go down in the Tour de France. Here is the race doctor coming up alongside him, and he'll have a quick check, a quick running check-in with the doctor at around about 25 miles an hour.
They'll try to change sides now, because this is the side where the injuries are. Nasty piece of pavement rash on his elbow.
But you see that the special thing about the Tour de France is even if a rider crashes and is injured, he doesn't want to leave a race like this. It's a special race, a special desire just to finish the Tour de France. It's like starting to conquer Mount Everest once you get up to base camp at 19,000 feet. You want to keep going, even though you might feel a little bit sick for a couple of days. You want to get to the summit of the climb, and that's how most riders feel about the Tour de France.
Well, the four leaders, by the way, are 2 minutes 17 seconds up on the whole rest of the field, where all the race leaders are, including Lance Armstrong at the moment. So they're holding on. They were coming back actually quite rapidly, but this crash seems to have disrupted the whole thing, and they're moving clear again just now, out at 2:17. So as we look here, the beautiful Chateau de Saint-Fiel. We'll take our first break. The ride is underway, but there's still a long way to go on stage 10 of the Tour de France.
Kelly Saunders' Nature Valley. The place that inspires her to go faster and slower. Elk Mountains, Colorado. Where's yours? 100% natural Nature Valley granola bars. The taste nature intended.
Choosing a car is like trying on a dress. As soon as you slip into it, you know it's the one. But you still turn around to see the back. Because let's face it, you want them to hate to see you go, but love to watch you leave.
Introducing the all-new Cadillac CTS Sport Wagon.
What's up? Minivan A. You.
It's raining!
With the great taste of a McDonald's McCafe Mocha, a better day is possible. Freshly ground espresso, real steamed milk, and decadent chocolate. Go ahead, McCafe your day.
My name is Esther.
They gave her a home,
Do you like it? It's perfect.
but she is not who you think she is.
The orphanage you thought she came from has never heard of her.
On July 24th,
Esther started the fire.
oh, come on. Esther has a secret
She's been lying to me.
you'll never see coming.
You don't know how long I've waited for a family like yours.
Orphan, rated R, starts July 24th.
I gotta get my car insured. Just point and click, point and click, point and click, point and click.
When you need auto insurance right now, log on to thegeneral.com. You'll get an instant quote with no personal information required and a down payment as low as $59. You can also print your own proof of insurance form, all online in just a few minutes.
Piece of cake.
For the best car insurance rates in town, call 1-800-GENERAL now.
Welcome back. Still more than 100 kilometres left to ride today. This is the 10th stage. We're resuming now after our day of rest yesterday in Limoges. We're in a very historical area of France, and the peloton not exactly charging along the roads today. Less than 38 kilometres an hour is the average speed, so they are behind schedule. 4 riders are out front. You can see the names passing through the screen now, but they're not exactly running away from the field either, so they're still very much in control. Well, as you know, there's no radios in the ears of the riders today. No directors sportifs can talk to the riders unless they literally drive up and speak to them. And it's not everybody's cup of tea, that. 14 teams apparently signed a petition saying they wanted radios, and 6 teams didn't. Among the 6 teams, all of the French and the Garmin Slipstream. And by the way, Danny Pate was among the fallers in that crash we just saw. Well, we thought we'd have a chat then with the manager of Astana, Johan Branil, at the start this morning. So here's what he had to say as he talks now with Frankie Andreu.
Johan, we talked about the race radios being banned for stage 10. Yesterday there was a meeting between 3 groups. Can you tell me a little bit what came out of that meeting?
Well, I can't tell a whole lot. We kind of agreed that everything would stay confidential, although I don't know if it's still confidential. But I think we came to an agreement. At first, kind of an intermediate solution, and then that changed again, and now it looks like the last I heard is that today there's no radios in the race.
And will there be any kind of protest or sit down by the riders or the directors kind of to try to send a message?
I don't know. I think we're probably going to accept the ride without radios. And then once the race is gone, then it's up to the riders to decide what's happening, if they agree with it or not.
Switching subjects, the next 3 days are kind of flat. You have 2 riders in the top 3. You don't have the yellow jersey. Pretty much perfect position to be in right now?
Yeah, I think so. I would have liked it to be, have the yellow jersey and another team with maybe a minute or so, because they would feel safer. It's now 6 seconds. It's not a whole lot. It means that anything that happens, immediately they look at us, and we have to share the responsibility. But it's good. It's good. I think that the next few stages, there's obviously teams with sprinters and teams who want to have somebody in a breakaway and try to win the stage. So it's a lot easier to control. And on top of that, the majority of the pressure is not on us. So I'm pretty happy with what's happening right now.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So as usual, Johan Branil not giving too much away there, but the riders are not racing as quickly, that's for sure. Maybe it is a mild protest. You saw the return then of Vladimir Efekim, the AG2R team, held back by his teammate Cyril Dessel. He had a flat tyre, and now we're seeing Kurt Attelarvesen, the rider who crashed. He got back to the race. He's dropping back now to chat again with the doctor, and he doesn't look at all good just now. Let's hope he can get himself better. Well, the riders have a problem today, Paul, talking to each other, no radio, etc. We've seen Efekim go back with a flat tyre, brought back with his teammate Dessel. We've had the crash situation, so nobody can tell the mechanics to come back with what wheels. What do you think?
The big problem is, Phil, when the team managers now want to dictate tactics, it's taking a long time for the tactics to get to the riders at the front of the pack, because the team manager has to leave his position in the convoy of cars, drive up to the back end of the pack, and look to see if he's got a rider sitting at the back end of the main field, pass that information across to him verbally, then that guy's got to scuttle up the outside of the main field and talk to all the other guys in the pack. So there's a delay in team tactics being given.
Johan Branil has made it quite clear that not everybody is in accord with everybody. Some want radio, some don't. He says that they had the meeting behind closed doors. They all agreed to keep it confidential, but he did indicate that decisions were being changed by the minute in the meeting. One day they were going to strike, then they weren't, etc. So it's quite clear that this is a very strange situation where not everybody is in complete agreement. Here's Fabian Cancellara sharing his food now with his injured teammate Kurt Attel-Arvesen. He's actually collected the bag for him, I think.
Well, this will happen. They'll try and nurture him and nurse him through the stage here this afternoon, Phil, because he is injured. And this is the solidarity you see in a race like the Tour de France. You never leave a wounded man behind if you can. You carry on, you assist him, you pace him, you push him, just to try and get him through this stage so that evening he can get to the hospital, get to the doctors, and make sure that he's not seriously injured. But coming back to the point about the radios, Phil, I personally really don't understand why the race organization don't want to have the radios, because I see it as being such a safety asset in the sport of professional cycling. Casting my mind back to when I raced, the team managers used to drive into the peloton, drive to the front of the peloton sometimes to talk to the riders and give out race information, and it was very dangerous indeed. And the level of the sport now is that I think if they start to try doing that, we could see one or two nasty accidents.
Well, we watch. Remember, it's not the organisers, it's the UCI working with the organisers who have agreed to go together to see what the result is. We'll find out, I guess, by the end of the Tour de France. So the champion of Switzerland feeding the champion of Norway, both on the same team, of course, and hopefully Arvesen will recover from his crash. They're both at the back of the field just now. Cancellara is no longer a challenger for the yellow jersey. Now, a chance to remind you again, join us in our competition, the Cadillac Ride of Your Life Sweepstakes. You can win some great prizes here, including a visit to the 2010 Tour de France. All you do, log on to versus.com/Ride of Your Life. You need the word performance today to log in to the Ride of Your Life Sweepstakes and then enjoy the competition. We'll see you in just a moment, I think, as we watch here the flag flying on a holiday here in France. It's been a rough ride already for Kurt Attel-Arvesen. Danny Pate also fell, by the way, for Garmin Slipstream in the same crash, but he's okay. We'll take our break then, and we'll see you in just a moment.
The Dodge, Chrysler, and Jeep Summer Clearance is here, and it's the best time to get some of the best deals. Get in now and get the Chrysler Town & Country with a generous cash allowance or 0% financing for 60 months. The trail-rated Jeep Grand Cherokee also comes with a cash allowance or 0% financing for 60 months. Or choose a hard-working all-new Dodge Ram truck with a cash allowance that's tough to beat. All with our best-in-the-business lifetime powertrain warranty. So hurry, come see the deals we've built for you at the Dodge, Chrysler, and Jeep Summer Clearance.
Want the good stuff for your home? Rent-A-Center puts that goal in easy reach. Get the top name brands you trust without credit checks. Your satisfaction is guaranteed. Now that's something we can all use. A little assist with our goals.
Adaptive friction extinguishers and hypertronic wear resistors? Seriously?
I use one that offers an engine guarantee.
Yeah.
Only Valvoline guarantees your engine up to 300,000 miles. Get Valvoline. Get guaranteed.
Every year, the staggering cost of water main breaks affects more than just our wallets. Flooding and traffic jams, as well as water waste and contamination, affect every aspect of our lives. Now is the time to focus our resources on building a stronger and better infrastructure. JM Eagle Plastic Pipe offers an innovative long-term solution. Virtually leak-proof and invulnerable to corrosion, JM Eagle Pipe maintains its quality and performance over time. That's the power of plastic. That's JM Eagle, building essentials for a better tomorrow.
What gets you out running, walking, or doing what you really love to do? Let's rewind. You have your own motivations for being out there. Enjoy every second. The Boulder Running Company Company has what you need to make your experience even better. From free video gait analysis to a huge casual shoe selection to apparel and accessories. The Boulder Running Company. Boulder, Denver, Colorado Springs, and online at boulderrunningcompany.com.
Let me show you how it's done. Oh, dude, you have a hammer in your head.
We need to get you to the hospital, dude.
But dude, it's Thursday.
Big Block Thursday on Speed. 3 big hours of races, chases, and crashes. Experience the drag racing phenomenon Pink's All Out at 8. Then hunt down stolen cars on Jacked at 9. And live life in the crash lane with Wrecked at 10. Got plans Thursday night? You do now. Big Block Thursday premieres Thursday at 8 Eastern, only on Speed.
Oh, no. Oh.
Delivers sports from soup.
Sports soup for everyone.
To nuts. First at 11. No one in the sports world can hide from Sports Soup's Matt Eisman. Then, pride and passion mix with a dose of insanity when the fans take over on Fanarchy.
I'm gonna eat this cat.
Sports Soup and Fanarchy. Tonight, only on Versus.
Welcome back. Bicycle Magazine stage you can't miss. Despite being shorter than some of the other mountain stages, this might be the toughest pure climbing day in the Tour. The ascending starts right out of the gate. I'm talking about the stage which takes us to the Grand Bournon, and this is where the big boys have got to come out and play. Visit bicycling.com. Exclusive daily Tour commentary and analysis from cycling's biggest names, interactive stages, maps, and much more. The peloton looks as though it's either under pressure again now or we're going downhill. It's hard to say, isn't it? Big car park down there for people to watch the Tour de France pass by. And it looks now as though they've got themselves a nice little tempo going here. The gap has come down inside 2 minutes. We have 4 riders clear. They got themselves away just 4 kilometres into the race. But the average speed today is just 23 miles an hour. And that's not Tour de France speed at all. So I think there might be a mild protest here about the riders not being allowed to have the little earpieces in and hear what their race directors are saying. So as we see the riders going along, let's forget about the bikes for the moment and think about shoes. And we can have a look now at the S-Works Road shoe, which is a brand new design coming in from Specialized. Let's learn more about the shoes of the bike rider right now.
Hi, I'm Nick Sims with Specialized Global Marketing. I'm here today with David Miller of the Garmin Slipstream Pro Cycling Team. David's a long-time shoe athlete of ours. And David, what do you like about the shoes?
With cycling, one of the rare things we get is an opportunity to actually use our own shoes, but to choose the shoes we ride with. It's not an obligation with our team. And so I chose Specialized primarily because I found them, after a lot of selection, to be the stiffest, the lightest, the most comfortable. In my opinion, they're the best shoes out there.
And you get the fancy custom colors.
Well, yeah, I mean, these look pretty normal from the front, but if you turn them around, they got this one was when I was national champion last year, and this one's actually a mod design, which is the cool music genre in the UK. And this is one I've been using mostly this year, but this one I brought back out simply because it goes so well with that kit this year. And I actually had a compliment from Lance yesterday who said these were perhaps the coolest shoes he's seen, the heel, which is rare because Lance normally takes the piss out of my sartorial choices. So yeah, so no, I mean, I'm very proud of these shoes, and I do think they're kind of, apart from being incredibly high-performing, aesthetically, they're just on another level.
Well, those are nice, but let me show you this. This is the new 2010 S-Works shoe. So, as you're familiar with the old one there, it has the same boa, but now what you can do is you twist to tighten and twist to loosen. And I think you'll feel the weight of that. That thing doesn't weigh anything.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
It's 225 grams, very vented.
The question is, why don't I have these? I love them. I mean, I saw Fabian with these. I mean, they're just... I mean, that is quite stupid. No, that's...
Oh, there it is, 2010 shoe. So
I look forward to it.
For people that don't get the custom colors and stuff, go to specialized.com. They should be in stores around Christmas.
I bet David Miller got a pair of those shoes after we stopped the cameras rolling. You wait and see. We're watching the race today. David's having a pretty good tour. Unlucky not to get a victory into Barcelona. Caught at the bottom of the climb up to the finish of Montjuic. As we're looking here, they're saying 1:57. My race radio's just come through with 1:55. So slowly but surely, we are catching up with those 4 guys out front. Good tempo rider, but nobody exactly killing themselves at the moment, Paul. But the breakaway has come down slowly. It's now at 1:58. and 94 kilometres still to go, so they have got it under control. That was an Astana rider who just nipped off past our motorbike.
It was Haimar Zubeldia, I think, and he was stopping for a natural break, and that's what the riders do. They very often will move to the front if they're going to stop for a natural break, just to let the guys in the main field know that they've stopped at the side of the road. So if somebody was thinking of attacking, they may well wait for a couple of seconds.
Very nice of them. It's always a problem, of course, for the riders when they're in the saddle for so long. As we watch the peloton, a little bit more like a Sunday cycling day out with the boys rather than the Tour de France right now, I have to say. But the fact that those 4 leaders are not running away from them, they're just holding them in check. There's the blackboard man, you can see now, waving the board at the riders, so he's giving them time check. He's now accelerating away, and he might well go now straight up to the 4 leaders and tell them the same.
Well, you're right, Phil. It does look very much like a leisurely run through the countryside, but it will change once we start to get to around about 40 kilometres to go, and the teams of the sprinters will all of a sudden start to pick up the pace.
Well, looking at heart rate monitors today, Christophe Lemarvelle, he's turning in a performance of 133 beats a minute, and currently riding down there at just 24 kilometres an hour or 15 miles an hour. So that is, even I could keep up right now.
I'm sure you could. But what you have to remember about the Tour de France is you've got to make sure that you, on days like this, you've got to hide in the main field and get yourself sucked along by the slipstream of the riders in front, and that way you can save your energy and try and almost recuperate on a day like this, because there's a lot more hard days to come.
Well, that is absolutely quite true, Paul. We're going to have a real hard ride through the Alps. Begins next Sunday. That's going to be a terrific final week of the Tour, and very, very hard indeed. Still no indication who's going to win, of course. 8 seconds across the top 3 riders. Hello there, there's the kangaroo, and we'll take a break.
What is this one?
Really?
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 How much?
Really?
Really? Really?
Really? Flooring doesn't have to be really expensive. Come to Lowe's and see our huge selection of tile, carpet, and hardwood floors. All at our everyday low prices, guaranteed.
This looks good.
Really good.
Lowe's. Let's build something together.
Shop at Lowe's and have carpet installed throughout your entire home for just $139.
Well, I was shopping for a new car. Which one's me? A cool convertible or an SUV? Too bad I didn't know my credit was whack, cause now I'm driving off the lot in a used subcompact. F-R-E-E, that spells free. Creditreport.com, baby. Saw their ads on my TV. Thought about going but was too lazy. Now instead of looking fly and rolling fat, my legs are sticking to the vinyl and my posse's getting laughed at. F-R-E-E, that spells free. Creditreport.com, baby.
Offer applies with enrollment and triple advantage.
Hey, want to let you know I'm going to be off on Monday.
I never heard of Chinchilli Day.
Sure you have. It's called the Revolucion de Chinchilla. It was when the pet chinchillas of a tiny Pueblo town rose up against the people. For 3 bloody days, the fighting continued. Until finally, the last of the chinchillas was gone.
And how do you celebrate?
3 days in Vegas. It's a cultural obligation.
There are moments in life when there are no limits, no boundaries, no walls. That the rules of gravity just don't apply. Because there is no statute of limitations on greatness.
I go through life taking in new sensations, temptations, like ones awakened by my McCafe iced mocha. With decadent chocolate and whipped cream sweeping sweetness into my soul, I'm ready to spice things up. Ice cold or steamy hot, I feel ready to take it all on. My McCafe is about setting aside the past and making room for the new. New sensations? I'm all about them.
hybrid for everyone is here. The Insight, designed and priced for us all from Honda.
Welcome back. We're looking at the face of Samuel Dumoulin, one of 4 riders in the escape today, the morning breakaway as we often refer to it, but this one isn't going too far ahead. It is increasing a little bit now. It's taking it over 2 minutes again for the first time for a while. There's the situation. 1 hour 8 minutes Vroonenart, 1:16 Dumoulin. These are the amount of time they are behind the race leader. So 52 minutes plus is the best rider. That's Thierry Huppon. So there's no rush. As we come into the town of Bowen, this is the scene of the brilliant Boule Championship. Pétanque yesterday, where Paul Sherwen and myself beat the mayor of the town and his assistant in the final. And you'll see the tent down there and the big grandstand. They've got a band planned for the day. I must say the atmosphere was superb, because when the Tour de France visits your town, it's a very special occasion. And this race, despite the fact it started in 1903, has never been through the town of Bowen before. And as the mayor said, and what's more, they're not charging us. They're coming for nothing. So he was very happy yesterday, even though he got beat by the British commentators. It's a lovely little town. The farms round here have really literally gone outside themselves to make terrific designs. They're very original ideas. There's some a little bit further on which they're barrels of hay with handles on the side and a frothy top. It looks like superhuman large pints of beer. Well, there's the town square. The scene of the great battle between the Brits and the French is just round that corner on the right, but the grandstand and the tents there are straight ahead. What a wonderful turnout. There wasn't this many for the competition last night, I must say. Well, what a wonderful turnout, Paul, here in Bowen. I think the mayor will be very, very pleased if he's recovered from the beating we gave him in the Pétanque match yesterday.
Yeah, well, I think that was a little bit of a reenactment of what Bowen is all about, because it has been lauded by the British for many, many years, going back to the 100 Years' War.
That's right. The church just on the left, which I don't think we'll see, the church of Saint-Sylvain, it was fortified between 1448 and 1449 to ward off the English assaults. Well, they returned last night when we beat the local town council. However, Phil, it was a close game, and it was very enjoyable. Yeah, the mayor was great. He ran into the town hall, he brought out a little trophy and presented it to us. These 4 riders then are leading the Tour de France through Bowen for the very first time in the town's history. As we now continue to leave town, they've all spent a long time designing all these pretty bicycles up on the telephone wires there, and the farmers as well. And the lead is not a lot, Paul. They've never allowed this break at all. 1 minute 58 seconds at the moment. And the thing is that we know the course now because we drove it this morning, and it is very small roads, very tortuous, especially through La Châtre. And even when they come into the finish town today in Issoudun, just as you think you're on a real fast long straight road, we lock up for a series of rather sharp bends.
It's one of these flat stages, as they call them, through the middle of France, taking us from the Pyrenees up to the Alps, Phil. They are actually very heavy roads. As you said, they're great for riding on, but if you're riding at 30 kilometers or 18 miles an hour, if you ride over these roads at 45 kilometers, 50 kilometers an hour, it really does start to sap the energy.
Well, a beautiful bicycle there for the farmers of Bowen. Working at ground level, they were perfectly symmetrical, those wheels. I don't know how they do it. Here comes the peloton now down the same little approach, and they'll freewheel right into town, I suspect.
There's a Stéphane Goubert on the front. He's doing a lot of pacemaking for the team, but I have noticed that nearly all of the teams, it seems as if they've almost made an unofficial alliance to have one rider from each team go to the front and set the pacemaking to make sure that that breakaway doesn't get to astronomical proportions.
Well, we will be treated to an incredible swim finish in Issoudun if that's the way it's going to be, because of the twists and turns. The teammates are going to have to really look after the sprinters over the last 2 kilometers, that's for sure. Minute 51 now. There is in fact the church of Saint-Sylvain, which was fortified to stop the English assaults, and it was declared a historical monument back in 1924. Its furniture inside is also listed too, so they can't take it out.
No, it's a nice little place to spend the rest day, and wasn't too far away from there. We had our little pétanque game. The main field didn't have time to have a rest going through Bowen, though, because if you look, although we're not really registering high speeds. The main field is stretched out into a fairly long line, which indicates to me that they are starting to take the chase just a little bit more seriously.
Well, it certainly looks very impressive as they leave town. Anyway, what beautiful countryside today. Just looking into the distance there, they'll get some straight roads for a while. We're heading off towards Aigeronde now, where we'll have our second sprint of the day. It's about it's a little way away, about 20-30 kilometers to go to that sprint. We'll see you again in just a moment.
From Hamels. He walks him.
Come on, Cole. Keep pounding the corner. Get him to chase one outside. Who are you?
Oh, Dad.
Oh, no. Wearing the same cap the pros wear doesn't mean you're one. New Era. Make the majors or buy one at the store. Get your New Era cap at Lids.
My Impreza has a Subaru Boxer engine. It's perfectly balanced for performance and handling. I love that engine. And I love anyone else who loves a Subaru engine too.
Impreza love knows no bounds. Love. It's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
Lease an Impreza for $179 per month or get 0% APR financing.
Michelle has had leukemia since she was 2. The Coleman twins were born 24 weeks premature. Max had his first surgery when he was 3 days old. These kids are alive today, and it's a real miracle. When your child needs help, there's a Children's Miracle Network hospital nearby. Go to childrensmiraclenetwork.org to support our hospitals helping local kids.
It's the symbol of superiority for which they all fight. But every tournament only has one champion. 2009 will take a select few to legendary heights and bring others to their knees. But they continue the fight with some fresh faces entering the fray. Because it's what they know. It's what they do best. Watch the Champions Tour all season long on Golf Channel.
7 races left, and they're all on Versus. The fastest drivers on the planet are on the final laps to the championship when IndyCar returns to Versus. Sunday, July 26th at 5.
Let's have a look at the American overall standings here in the Tour de France as we go out onto stage number 10. Armstrong is 8 seconds off the yellow jersey. Leipheimer 39. Van der Velde, 4th last year, is in 8th. George Hincapie 28th. Right down to Tyler Ferrer there at 164, and that's a good cue for us because let's have a chat now with Tyler about his chances today. Here he is with Robbie Ventura.
First Tour de France, you survived the Pyrenees without a problem. Can you tell us how your legs are feeling? You have 3 good stages ahead of you that you can possibly win a stage. Where are you at right now?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. You know, with the rest day yesterday, it was kind of chilled out and, you know, feeling a bit more like myself again. The Pyrenees weren't easy, but I think we all got through them pretty well, so everything seems on track.
You got a chance to ride with Cavendish and some of the Gruppados a little bit. Are you sensing a little bit of weakness in Cavendish? You're one of the few guys in this race that's actually beat him this year. Is today your chance?
I mean, I think every sprint day is a chance for sure. You know, I think Cav, you know, he's obviously riding really well, so you know it's not going to be easy. But you know, today's a good day. I think it's pretty hard at the start, which will maybe sting everybody a little bit, and then you know, hopefully it'll come back together at the end, and we can give it a go.
Without any radios in your ears today, who's going to be the road captain? Who's going to make those decisions in those final 5 kilometers to make sure they deliver you to a spot where you can win?
You know, once you get into the end of the race like that, it's really not going to matter that much as far as sprinting goes. I mean, Julian and I know what we need to do. You know, we're talking more just next to each other than over the radios. So, I mean, it will make for some interesting tactics today, but personally, I don't think it'll change so much for me.
Thanks, Tyler. Good luck.
And Garmin Slipstream, of course, Tyler's team were one of the teams that refused to sign the petition to support the use of the radios today. So they don't seem to care either way, do they? Well, we'll see how he goes as he starts to get himself settled in today and maybe have to cross swords with Mark Cavendish. Now, this is like going back to the old days, because here's the manager of Skill Shimano coming up and handing a bottle back to his rider. Couldn't tell him he was coming, but he was quick to realize he was there. There's the bottle. Give him his glasses in as well, which I hope isn't a bad sign that the rain is coming. But at the finishing line now, the sun has returned, so that's good news. There's the peloton. They're not screaming through the countryside. I've got a feeling they're making a little bit of a statement here today. And a lot of teams have got one man only just setting the pace. So they're being seen as a block of solidarity in the Tour de France as we now pedal on through the countryside. 4 leaders. The peloton don't look to be flat out, Paul. The 4 leaders obviously can't be flat out because the gap is still just around a minute 50.
Yeah, I think everybody in the main field is fairly happy with the race situation. They know that at 83 kilometers to go, they've got it locked in. I think the tactics of the 4 riders in front, Phil, I think they're just riding as well to keep that gap at that same amount. And they will have a little bit of energy left in the gas tank later on to accelerate when they know that the main field starts to accelerate. So we could be looking at quite an exciting chase to the finish.
French Independence Day today, which was commemorated by the storming of the Bastille, and there are 27 French riders won on Bastille Day in the history of the Tour de France. 27 French wins, rather. They've used 22 riders to get that number of French wins. Laurent Jalabert was the last man to appear with 2 wins, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. Yeah. Jalabert won, I remember, in 1995 on the road up to Mende and finished on the aerodrome up there, and that was quite an impressive ride. But more recently, Jalabert won in 2001 in Colmar. The last Frenchman to win, actually on Bastille Day, of course, was David Moncoutier, and that was in Digne-les-Bains in 2005.
Oh dear, this man's in an awkward position, Paul. What's that, cramp? Or his saddle loose?
Just a little bit of stretching. You've got to keep the muscles stretched, and that's a different position to adopt.
Thierry Dupont of Skill Shimano loosening off the muscles. Remember, he was the man that launched the first attack. It came at 4 kilometers into the stage. The others reached him, and they've been over 3 minutes, but only just, and it's currently about 1 minute 43 seconds. 82 kilometers, or just over 50 miles. Still to race down to the finish in Issoudun. First time we've ever finished here. Limoges is a popular stop-off point for the Tour de France, but Issoudun is a little bit tucked away into the countryside, although I thought the town was quite big when we came into it this morning.
Yeah, it seemed like a fairly large town, but it's got a lot of history going back to the 12th century. And in fact, there were a number of serious battles in Issoudun, led by Richard Coeur de Lion, Richard the Lionheart.
Yes, he wasn't French, was he?
No, he was British. He was on our side.
1 minute and 40 seconds, they're saying on race radio, but again, these boys, you can see them by the style of the ride. They're not pushing on here. Now, we've got 4 tours in the bag for Vaugrenard. We've got 6 tours ridden now for Dumoulin. The other 2 riders, Mikhail Ignatieff and Thierry Dupont, are both in their first Tour de France. This is Dupont with Dumoulin. No wins as a professional, Thierry Dupont, but good place to start with the Tour de France. It's not unprecedented, I must say. As we look out across the countryside here of the Valley of the Creuse, we'll take a break and rejoin us in just a moment.
You want to give your family a better life, so Rent-A-Center makes it easy to get the things your family wants and needs. No credit checks, no credit needed, satisfaction guaranteed. Hey, it's their way of making it easy on you.
We weren't just looking for someone to date. We were looking for someone to spend the rest of our life with.
It's one of the most important decisions in your life, and you don't just want to leave it to chance.
If you're ready to meet the love of your life, try eHarmony. At eHarmony, we thoroughly pre-screen your matches for you based on 29 dimensions of deep, meaningful compatibility, like intellect, values, and character.
We had so much in common. It was natural.
Experience the eHarmony difference for yourself. Review all your matches for free at eHarmony.com.
Whether you're powering down the asphalt in a Cervelo S2 or a Cadillac CTS Sport Wagon, you're sure to get that rush. Now imagine the rush you could feel at the final stage of the Tour de France with the Cadillac Ride of Your Life sweepstakes. Just watch the Tour de France on Versus and look for the on-screen code. Then log on to versus.com/rideofyourlife to enter. You could win a Cervelo S2 and a VIP trip to Paris to watch the 2010 Tour. The Cadillac Ride of Your Life sweepstakes, and watch the Tour de France right here on Versus.
Here comes the sunshine. Here comes a new day.
And here comes savings of 15%, but only if you book now at daysin.com. Days In, the best value under the sun.
Jeffrey, it's after midnight. What are you doing?
I'm buying car insurance.
Right now?
Yep, I just logged on to thegeneral.com.
At The General, you can get an instant online quote that includes a low rate, low monthly payment, and a down payment as low as $59, even if you have tickets or an accident on your record.
Okay, all done.
Great. Bring me some cheese puffs.
Best car insurance rates in town. Call 1-800-GENERAL now. Tonight, Versus delivers sports from soup.
Sports soup for everyone.
To nuts.
Oh, you're so full of
Sports soup and Fanarchy tonight, only on Versus.
Tony Martin there, who is leading in the white jersey competition. This will be the 8th day in the white jersey, in fact, for Tony Martin. He's ahead of Andy Schleck of 49 seconds. Nibali is 54. Kreuziger is 1 minute and 40. Well, the question many of you will ask is, what is the white jersey? It's for the best rookie in the Tour. Here's Paul Sherwen now to tell us about the white jersey.
Hockey awards the Calder Trophy. Baseball hands out the Rookie of the Year. The Tour de France recognises excellence in a young rider by presenting the white jersey. The Maillot Blanc is awarded after each stage to the top overall rider under 26. Started in 1975, the award has undergone many changes throughout the years. In 1983, the competition was only open to first-time Tour participants. That policy was nixed for the Tour in 1987. From 1989 to 1999, the white jersey was no longer presented, but the young rider competition remained. The white jersey presentations returned in 2000 and continue through this year's Tour. Only 2 men have won multiple white jerseys. Marco Pantani won back-to-back in 1994 and 1995, and Jan Ullrich followed Pantani by winning the next 3. 2 Americans have earned white, Greg LeMond in 1984 and American Andy Hampsten 2 years later. In 2007, Alberto Contador became just the 3rd rider to win the white jersey and the yellow jersey in the same Tour, following Laurent Fignon in 1983 and Jan Ullrich in 1997.
Well, here's a little bit more information on that. Worn by riders aged 25 and under with the best overall time in the race. So it scored similar to the yellow jersey. First award, as Paul told us, to Francesco Moser back in 1975 there. 36 eligible riders in this year's Tour de France. So it's quite a hot competition. But I have to say at the moment, Tony Martin is riding superbly, and it's on his shoulders for an 8th day today. And if he gets his way, it'll go all the way to Paris. But it'll be a tough battle to keep off Schleck when we get down into the Alps. I hope the organisers don't take it out of the competition as they did for a while, because I think it's a very interesting competition. Something for the young riders to aim at, because they're not supposed to win the Tour de France like Alberto Contador did, taking white as well as yellow. I have to tell you this, that they eat these here in France, and this is the area for where the snails play a big part in the culture and in the gastronomy of the area. So those 3 boys better get out of sight quick. Back with the leaders now, who look to be going considerably quicker just at the moment, with 48 miles to go. And the peloton's going a little bit easier, Paul, but the breakaway seemed to be getting a little bit quicker, although the time at 1:33 here. Team Milram. Well, this isn't the speed of the peloton. Get your nose in there, boys. Oh, we don't want to see this, I don't think, do we? I think thank heavens they've seen the snails. I don't mind them eating them if they must, but I don't really want to see them squashed. I wouldn't like to be that snail right now. And I hope we cut away very quickly. We can't control the pictures, folks. Yes, we can. We just did.
Well, thank you very much for that. I'm sure the cameraman will pick that snail up and put it back into the field where it came from.
Here, here. Right, a compact peloton today. 171 setting off today. We've only lost 9 riders in the opening 9 days of racing. And most of them, unfortunately, with crashes. And 2 have been eliminated for being too far behind. This is the peloton. They've slowed right down now because the cars are trying to get up to give them drinks. And this is the problem if they haven't got radios, of course.
Yeah, and that is the problem that I foresaw with the withdrawal of race radios, the fact that the team managers still want to give tactical advice to the riders. As you see in American football, as you see in basketball, or even in soccer, the management and the coaches at the side of the field, they want to give advice and direction to the athletes. And I think in the sport of professional cycling now, it's very important with the level of the sport that the athletes need to have access to rapid information.
Well, they're making their point felt, so I suspect as the race goes on, the organisers and the world body might let the radios come back in on a permanent basis. We'll see. Everybody looking at each other, just good tempo riding. Danny Pates on the right in the Garmin colours there. He fell down with Kurt Attel-Arvidsson, but he doesn't look at all hurt by the problem as they approach the sprint here, which is at Aigrande. The leaders are up front, and as we've seen at the first sprint at Laurier, after 44 kilometres, there was no sprint at all because the green jersey points don't mean anything. And this year there are no time bonuses in the Tour de France, so there really is nothing to race for apart from the €800 first prize. Well, that's the picture that had a happy ending, and we'll now see in a moment.
Wow. My bike? Alberto's bike? Lance's bike? Wow.
During the Autobahn for All event, you can get great lease deals. I love it. I just want to know it's the right move. Me? 13 days in the future. Listen, you get a deal on a car you've always wanted, scheduled maintenance is included, it's all good. What's the future like? You love your new Jetta. And the suit? You like it? Nah, I love it.
Now during the Autobahn for All event, lease a 2009 Jetta S for just $179 a month. Hurry in before your future Volkswagen is history.
With my bike. Yo necesito mi bicicleta para el tour. With Lance's bike. With Levi's bike. Wow. With my bike. My bike? With Lance's bike. Lance's bike? Wow. Wow.
What about my bike?
Hi, may I help you?
Yeah, I'm looking for car insurance that isn't going to break the bank.
You're in the right place. Only Progressive gives you the option to name your price. Here.
A price gun?
Mm-hmm.
So I tell you what I want to pay.
And we build you a policy to fit your budget.
That's cool. Feel so empowered.
Power to the people.
The option to name your price. New and only from Progressive. Call or click today.
At First Bank, we do not clone nor endorse the cloning of U.S. currency. Would be against international law and a breach of banking ethics. The $50 you receive upon opening a free checking account is real money and has not been duplicated in a covert genetics laboratory. So at your earliest convenience, go to First Bank or visit us online and get $50 that has never been cloned.
Welcome back to the Tour de France, everybody, and let me now introduce you to our Road ID Tour Challenge, powered by mapmyrider.com, and you get all the information by logging on to versus.com. That's mapmyride.com, teaming up with versus.com. Enjoy that competition. So still 4 riders clear today in the Tour de France. All the teams putting 1 or 2 riders up front to appear to be helping out, but indeed there's no doubt in my mind now there is a mild protest on the use of no radios. The cars are coming up voluntarily, as it were, to ask the riders do they want drinks. I think possibly purposely causing a little bit of chaos to prove their point, but the race continues towards Issoudun today. Still no action out there on the course, Paul. There's a chance to see the selection of gears on the bikes. All the back wheels ready to be changed should there be a problem. We're up behind the 4 front runners here as Mikhail Ignatieff drops back to his Katusha car to have a word about what could be going on. Remember, this is the man who hung on for 2nd place behind Thomas Voigtler in Perpignan when he was given the same time as the bunch. They caught him right on the line, which was quite incredible. Voigtler just held them off by 7 seconds.
And you might have noticed there, I'm not sure if you did, but the team manager he was talking to was a very famous Russian rider. Well, in fact, he was Moldovan, Belgian, Russian. He changed his nationality on a number of occasions. Andrei Schmil.
Andrei Schmil, yes. Well, he became the first Moldovan to win stages, and as Paul said, he finally took out Belgian nationality. I think he won the Belgian championship on the basis of that as well.
Well, I do know that one thing, that one of his great performances, Phil, was he was the last ever national champion of the USSR.
That was before the dissolution of the Soviet Union. And then he reverted to his own country, that's right. And he's a very busy man. I think he lives in Belgium, doesn't he?
He does still live in Belgium, but of course, let's not forget, probably his greatest victories were a victory in the Tour of Flanders and Paris-Roubaix.
Yeah, 2 wonderful classic races. Minute 32. The boys are riding at the same speed. There's Tom Bowen, the champion of Belgium, had his quietest tour which I can recall. Says he can't beat Mark Cavendish, so he's having a chat with his friends there, speak the same language. Lawrence 10 down, number 49, still got the bandage on the left leg. He's the rider who crashed coming away from the Tourmalet, trying to rejoin the leaders, having been dropped on the way up. And he was quite a mess, but he's continuing okay as he continues now. Christophe Lemavelle is heart beating at a steady 144. Pretty fast, I think, Paul, considering the speed we're going.
That's a long medium effort training ride heart rate that you're looking at there, and you can see the speed is starting to pick up a fraction to just inside of 40 kilometers now. So they're starting to pick up the pace gradually. As they run in towards the finish, they will pick the average speed up to about 48 kilometers an hour. But both groups, Phil, have actually raised their speed around about the same time, because we're still locked in at that 1.5 minute advantage.
We're coming up to the sprint line here in Aiguronde, which takes us through to the last 72 kilometers of racing today. And it doesn't look to me as though they're going to rip anybody's legs off. Samuel Dumoulin, the Cofidis rider, was the first man across the line in Laurier. Mikhail Ignatieff, because he's quite high up in the King of the Mountains competition. He's won all of the climbs except one today. They were before we came on air. And the other one was won by Coupond. And in fact, strange enough, the 4-man breakaway, Ignatieff got 4th place and therefore no points, which maybe he decided he's not going to be the King of the Mountains anyway. 500 meters to the sprint. Nice little crowd on the left side of the road, watching the riders cruise through. And I think cruise is the operative word right now. Minute 34 is the gap. There's the banner. Now, is Ignatieff going to shoot off the back, or are they just going to ride through the line? That's the question.
Well, I don't think anybody's going to rattle the cage of Egoy Martinez in the King of the Mountains classification, Phil, because he got some serious points through the Pyrenees. He leads that competition with 78 points to Christopher Kern's 59 and Franco Pelizzotti's 55.
Landre en fête, that means they're having a party. Landre en tête means they're leading everybody else as well here in France. And so these boys are virtually freewheeling down to the sprint line here at 100 meters to go. There's 800 euros of the first prize on the line. If we're going to see the line, that is. Yes, we are. And it's going to be, in fact, Benoit Vaugrenard who goes over the line first. So there's no effect for the green jersey. 6 points was for Vaugrenard, but he's a long way behind in the race. Second was Dupont. And third was Mikhail Ignatieff, I think. We'll find out when we come back. There's the peloton regrouping for the battle ahead, and that's Aiguronde in just ahead as well.
It's my uptown apartment. My downtown apartment is still being renovated to go green.
No way.
Yeah.
need a moment?
Oh no! I've been robbed! Who would have done such a thing?
And they trashed your place.
That is what happened.
Oh, you poor thing.
It's really sad.
When you need a moment, chew it over with Twix.
Yes.
It's stinging a little bit more than usual.
Yeah, you'll get used to it.
The longer you keep your high-mileage car, the more it pays you back. Get Castrol GTX High Mileage. It helps engines last longer by fighting the main causes of engine failure.
I think a dime went up my nose.
Yeah, it happens.
Don't change your car, change your oil to Castrol GTX High Mileage. It's more than just oil. It's liquid engineering.
Buckle up, everybody, because we're taking a ride that can strain your relationships and hurt your pride. It's the credit roller coaster, and as you can see, it kind of bites. So sing the lyrics with me. When your debt goes up, your score goes down. When you pay a little off, it goes the other way round. It's just the same for everybody, every boy and girl. The credit roller coaster makes you want to hurl. So throw your hands in the air and wave them around like a wannabe frat boy trying to get down and bring them right back to where your laptop's at. Log on to freecreditreport.com. Free credit score and report with enrollment and triple advantage.
Tough. Ain't that $2 steak on the...
Y'all loving your McCafe experience? Good, because here's something else to love. Free McCafe Mondays at McDonald's. Enjoy a sweet, scintillating sample of chocolate bliss that'll leave you shivering for more, and you thought we couldn't get any cooler. Or warm your soul with a chocolate and coffee combo that'll send you to mocha heaven. Only thing better is that it's free. They give me the light, so I give you McCafe.
If human achievement can be determined not by speed or strength, but by character, then it's easy to see who the most amazing athletes really are. Be a fan of dignity, acceptance, and the human race. Volunteer, coach, or compete in Special Olympics.
Yes, when it's flat, it's green for go. Thor Hushovd is the rider in the green jersey lead, but only by 11 points with 35 for the win today, remember, ahead of Mark Cavendish and Rojas, who is sprinting better every day. So the man to talk to at the start this morning was Frankie Andreu with Thor Hushovd.
Our next couple days are good for the sprinters. You have the green jersey. The strategy, will it be to let some breaks go away, or will you be racing for the stage wins and to gather more points?
Oh, it depends. We're gonna, of course, play the tactical game, and it's Colombia have to work to get the jersey back. And but I mean, I also want to win another stage. So so it depends what happens, how many guys it goes away, and but also we can't spend too much energy out there.
Could be a little bit more complicated today without using the radios. What are your feelings on not using the radios, and do you think that will affect your job?
I don't think it's going to make too big difference. Now we have to go back, or the car have to come up to tell us if there's something to know. And yeah, we just have to think a bit different, but I think the difference is not too big.
All right, if there's a protest out on the course, will you participate in that, or do you think you guys should just continue to race like normal?
No, I will race as normal. I think it's that's why we're here. It's important day today, and I mean, we have to race.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Well done, Thor Hushovd there, talking to Frankie Andreu. That's our Cisco Insider interview. Now looking back at the four leaders here. Well, I heard what Thor said, but I'm not too sure they are racing with true feeling today. These four riders are going nowhere, but not exactly pulling away at high speed either. Plenty of people out around France today because this is the Bastille Day here in France, the national holiday. Everybody really, because it's a Tuesday, took yesterday off as well, so it's been quite a couple of days holiday for them all. Looking from the helicopter, there does seem to be quite a little bit of head of steam coming on the riders now. We're heading up towards the beautiful town of La Charte, and that's a little bit tortuous too, so they're going to have to pay attention there. Pacemaking being done at the moment by Issel here of Columbia HTC. Rock Hassey's team for the men in black are coming forward as well. Just looking off to the left there. Team AG2R, Paul, trying to send a man up to the front because they've got the leader, and Astana are moving up as well.
Well, I think everybody's realizing, Phil, the race is going to start getting a little bit more exciting, a little bit more pressure, and the best place to be if you are picking up the pace is the first 15 to 20 places.
There's our man from the USA, number 7 for Armstrong, as he runs by. They must be going quite quickly because he didn't run away from them.
No, he certainly didn't. We've seen him all over the world supporting Lance Armstrong and supporting the sport of professional cycling.
Mikhail Ignatieff started out with a gold medal. He's a very good track cyclist, by the way, this man. And he's proving now, as he concentrates on long-distance road racing, he's becoming quite accomplished. He's been one of the strong men for the breakaways. He's got no hope of winning the race, but he's been putting a lot of work in to try and escape and win stages. He's chosen a day today, rather a different day of racing, I think. So I'm not so sure he's made the right move here.
Bernard Issel, the only move that he's going to make is setting the tempo on the front end of the main field for Columbia HTC. And it's once again tilted up towards the 2-minute mark. But I do feel that the main field will be a little bit more angry as we get closer to the finish. Probably start to pick up the pace at around about 35-40 kilometers to go.
Very narrow, twisty roads today. Beautiful riding country, I have to say. As the Tour de France goes by, there's camper vans all over the place, being parked up for a day or so for the arrival of the Tour. Here comes the Cofidis team car. This is for Samuel Dumoulin. This is what they've got to do now, is just come up, pass them information verbally, and they'll say what the break is, what the distance is, and give them a drink if required, I think it is, and then drop back into the pack. They're only allowed to stay up here for so long because the race referees can still talk to them, that's to the cars, and tell them when to pull out and drop off.
So Alain Deloy, the team manager, number 1 team manager of Cofidis, has come up to the front there to have a chat with his teammate, with his rider. And he himself was a very good amateur cyclist in the north of France and finished 2nd in Paris-Roubaix, the amateur version of Paris-Roubaix, on one occasion.
Were you riding then, Paul?
Yes, I finished 3rd.
Oh, that's how you remember the story so well. I don't believe it. Well, Tor Hushovd has said that the riders will race today, Paul, that there will in fact be no go slow, but I feel that that's not the attitude being conveyed to us, do you?
Well, bear in mind as well, Phil, that yesterday was a rest day, and the body's always a little bit stranger the day after the rest day. Sitting at the back rather precariously there on the left-hand side with the black and yellow helmet in the Astana colours is Lance Armstrong, and that's not normally a habit for Armstrong.
No, he's having a chat there with one of his teammates, and I think the rider is Popovic, his mate. On to the right, yes it is, number 27. So they're just keeping the nose clean. They know that today is not the day to attack, even if you are behind by 8 seconds, because it's too flat. Beautiful polka dot jersey, that's Igor Martinez. Yellow jersey, Ronaldo Nocentini. What happened to the white jersey? Never mind, we might have missed it. These are the 4 riders moving on here. 65 kilometers still to race. That's 40 miles now, so sooner or later the sprinters will have to finish this one off, and then we'll have a lively old sprint to the line in Issoudun. This man, I must say, whoever he is a very fit guy. See you in a moment.
We all have confidence. We all have doubt. But when the moment comes, what's gonna win? Here's to confidence.
I've been dreaming, I'm dreaming.
Gillette helps you look, feel, be your best. Gillette, the best a man can get.
My Impreza has a Subaru Boxer engine. It's perfectly balanced for performance and handling. I love that engine. And I love anyone else who loves a Subaru engine too.
Impreza love knows no bounds. Love. It's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
Lease an Impreza for $179 per month or get 0% APR financing.
Get 20% more cash for your broken, unwanted, or mismatched gold jewelry. Cash for Gold, the largest volume consumer gold buyer in the USA, is on an extended buying spree. Prices are still at all-time highs, and we still can't keep up with demand. So we've raised our goal $100 million and extended our deadline. Now we're out to buy $200 million in gold by the end of summer, September 30th. Send us any unwanted, broken, or mismatched gold jewelry right now. Call for a free prepaid envelope. Fill it with the items you want to sell, send it to our secure processing center, and get ready to count your cash. And to meet our new $200 million goal, we've increased our cash payout by 20%. Cash for Gold owns its own refinery. There's no middleman, just more cash for you. And now we're paying even 20% more cash. Call before the gold rush ends September 30th.
Call 1-800-831-6881 or visit cash4gold.com.
Angel Torres. Unbeaten in 5 years. Can undefeated Brian Bowles pose a threat? Ask his last 7 victims. Torres versus Bowles. Live Sunday, August 9th. Only on Versus.
Well, they always say there's no game without pain, but there's always pain in the Tour de France, especially with the multi-pileups, which happen more or less on a daily basis. We just hope the riders involved are able to get up and continue to race around the countryside of France with all the neighbouring countries when it plays their part in the Tour de France. There's the peloton. Not too far in the front now. It's foreclosing a little bit with our camera lens, but even so, these 4 boys are on a long stretch of road right now. And in the distance there is the Tour de France, and all the team cars are trying to get up amongst their riders and give them bottles all at the same time. Well, I was talking about pain in the Tour de France. We've had a few crashes here this last 9 days, so let's now have a look at just what that word does to these riders in this great race.
Take a look at his face here, the real grimace of pain.
He is clearly suffering, and he's one of the toughest men in world cycling.
Every top cyclist has a bad day.
The pain is on his face right now.
But I feel as though he might be riding himself in.
Pain in cycling can be good and bad.
There's so much pain every day.
There's a good deal of pain involved. Basically, it's who can suffer the most sometimes.
There's 2 kinds of pains. There's the break your bone, tear your knee, get road rash kind of pain. That's not so fun.
It's just kind of the name of the game. It's how it is. It's just, a lot of it's not very fun.
I think, in fact, Armstrong has absolutely hit the wall.
You just get used to it, and you just kind of push it aside.
And then there's the kind of pain where it's like in a time trial, you're going for a sprint and you're just suffering. That's a good pain, because if you can experience that kind of pain, it means you're physically fit and okay.
When you're going good, you enjoy inflicting pain on the other guys, I guess, because, you know, when you look around and you see their faces and they're hurting and you can actually push on the pedals and attack, then you enjoy it. It's fun.
The man we thought might be holding something back is holding nothing back. He has blown on the Alp.
It's almost as much of an old familiar friend as it is an enemy, and because it's always there, and you just kind of have to learn to deal with it.
Yes, there's good pain and bad pain, but I'm sorry to say these 3 riders had the bad pain on the early days of the Tour de France. Johan van der Walle out with a broken collarbone, punctured lung, a broken arm for Peter Ruyackers, and Robert Gesink, we saw him limp in for 75 kilometres, covered in blood, and when he crossed the line, hospital revealed he had broken his wrist. So they're all out of the Tour de France now. The Tour goes on as we peep round the tournesols, or the sunflowers here, which always grow up facing the sun. Well, I guess it's behind our camera right now. There's the peloton. They've got the other riders in the gun sights. They're not rushing at them to sweep them up, but they're not going to go anywhere today. 1.5 minutes is the gap But on that long straight road, they could see the 4 riders, so that they know now exactly where they are as we head towards La Chatte. I don't think they can hold much longer, Paul. I think you're absolutely right. They're letting them dangle now. Now, this isn't looking good. This is the rider who crashed early on. I think he's been in terrible pain since. He's going to have a word with the team car. This is Curtis Arvesen, and he's saying something to Kim Anderson there, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep. See how Kim Anderson pulled
I think he's in terrible pain. I think this might have broken something.
Well, it's hard to make diagnostics from the television camera, but this guy he's a tough professional bike rider. He's explaining just exactly how the crash happened. I don't know if you noticed when the rider came alongside the team car there, Phil, how the team manager pulled in the rear view mirror to make sure that he reduced any chance of him touching that and going down again.
Actually, it's his right arm, and I think it might be his back, because he's complaining he can't move properly. And he's trying to get to the finish, because you have to finish every day to start the next. And if he can just get to the finish with the group today, losing no time. Hospital tonight, and the x-rays will tell him what the problem is. If it's a break, he's out. If it's not, they'll try and work on him with the team masseurs. This man is not a quitter, believe me. He's a very well-known bike rider to us all, and if there's any way he can finish, it won't be in his mind to drop out.
Certainly not. Nobody wants to abandon the Tour, and he'll do, as you said, Phil, everything he can to stay in the event, because his team are obviously looking further down the road as well. They're looking to big attacks once we go into the Alps, maybe by Andy Schleck or Frank Schleck, to try and get themselves a podium position, or even outwit and outfox Team Astana.
Well, we've arrived here in the town of Crevant, approximately 13 minutes behind the slowest expected time. They'll pick up on that now, though, as we start to line up for the finish. We're suspecting maybe a broken collarbone here as well.
You know, it really is amazing what a bike rider will put himself through when we go back to think about, of course, you know, the first crashes on the first 3 days. You know, Robert Gessing went down and finished the stage with a broken wrist. Another guy, a Belgian rider, crossed the line with a broken collarbone. Riders will push themselves because they don't want to believe that they are seriously injured, and they want to stay in the Tour de France. It's a really special event. The riders they'll pull out of the Tour of Italy, or they'll pull out of the Vuelta a España, but they do not want to pull out of the Tour de France. It's an important thing in a professional bike rider's career to finish the Tour.
Absolutely. This is the sports shop window. It's the one with the biggest history, and as you can see, it's also the one with the biggest amount of spectators, both on and off the television. The Festival of the Potato. As they poor boys go by minute 40. Well, here go the 4 potatoes then, as they try to hold off this gap. 1 minute 40. The sun is out now. The flowers are smiling. Life is, I hope, going to get better for Kurt Attel Arvesen as well. We don't want him to give up, do we? Poor man. Let's hope he makes it to the finish today.
Has been saving people money on car insurance for over 70 years. And who doesn't want value for their dollar? Been true since the day I made my first dollar. Where is that dollar? I got it out to show you.
Was it rather old and wrinkly?
Yeah, you saw it?
Fancy a crisp?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
During the Autobahn for All event, you can get great deals.
Yeah, it's great. I just really want to be sure.
Whoa, it's us from the future. 11 days in the future.
Look, you love your new Rutan. You love the German tuned suspension. You love not having to pay for scheduled maintenance. I love what you've done with your hair. We'll take it.
Now during the Autobahn for All event, get 0% APR on a 2009 Rutan. Hurry in before your future Volkswagen is history.
Why are you in my yard?
Why are you in your yard? There's all sorts of super destinations. You could go to a jazz festival, stock car racing, ride a donkey in a canyon. You just gotta go. I got free Wi-Fi.
On eHarmony, I felt like I was meeting somebody that I already kind of knew.
At eHarmony, our in-depth questionnaire lets us get to know the real you, so we can match you with other singles on far deeper levels than other dating sites. Review all your matches for free at eHarmony.com.
There are moments in life when there are no limits, no boundaries, no walls. that the rules of gravity just don't apply. Because there is no statute of limitations on greatness.
How much is this one?
Really?
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 How much?
Really?
Really? Really? Really?
Flooring doesn't have to be really expensive. Come to Lowe's and see our huge selection of tile, carpet, and hardwood floors. All at our everyday low prices, guaranteed.
This looks good.
Really good.
Lowe's. Let's build something together.
Shop at Lowe's and have carpet installed throughout your entire home for just $139.
There is a team that is like no other team in the world. They are Supermen. They are mythic. They will welcome you, challenge you, cheer for you. And when they raise their flag in victory, you will know what these men and women are fighting for, and you will feel fortunate to be counted among them. They're strong. Then there's Army Strong. To see strength like no other, go to GoArmy.com.
Well, let's look at the beauty of the sunflowers. Let me remind you, stage 11 tomorrow goes to the town of Vathon, not too far from where we finish, and races to Saint-Fargeau. We'll be live with you, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time as always. And another one to watch out for, that'll be stage 16. This will be a real toughie from Martigny to Bourg-Saint-Maurice. Live, I hate to tell you guys back on the West Coast, we go live at 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time. That is stage 16. We are, of course, then in the Alps. Our nightly programmes with Craig and Bob, rather, they come to you at 8 Eastern every day. Let's get back to the race. The chief referee's got his red light flashing. When that's flashing, it usually means no one is allowed to pass the pack. And so it looks as though Levi Leipheimer wants us to pass him so we can go back and have a chat with the Astana team car. There comes the team car. And this is because there's no race radios, remember, so the management can't talk to each other, so Levi's gone back to talk to them. I think he's just passed in his small racing cape because it looks as though the rain has gone away for the day. And now he's been instructed as he's gone back as to what's going to happen on the closing miles to the finish. Astana don't normally take part in the race for the bunch sprints, so as long as they finish in the pack today, it's same time and the positions will not change overall. He's probably telling them how Lance is feeling, or Alberto Contador. Top of the picture there, can't quite see Le Chart, but that's where we're going right now as the peloton takes this smooth left-hander, and in there we've got Levi Leipheimer back with a chat. They've got no real contenders for the sprints, Paul. They keep their noses clean on a day like today.
The most important thing for them is to keep up at the front of the main field, keep out of danger, don't get involved in any crashes. There's Johan Branil, master tactician. He's led 8 riders. Well, he's led to 8 victories in the Tour de France, 1 in the Giro d'Italia, a couple in the Tour of Spain.
Yeah.
And he really has been the master tactician of the last few years in the Grand Tours, and he is vehemently against the ban of race radios on today's stage.
Yes, he is. And he just hopes his boys keep out of trouble. That's the way they're doing it at the moment anyway. Lance particularly, and also the yellow jerseys kept his nose clean. He's dropped away from the scene as well.
And I wonder if that's why Armstrong was riding at the back end of the main field just a little earlier, because he needed to go back to the team car and have a chat with Johan Branil, because they are almost constantly in discussion through most of the stages, and definitely through the 7 years that Lance dominated the Tour. They were always chatting on the two-way radios.
They were, yeah. Even if it's to relieve boredom. Christophe Lemervel, his heart's settling down nicely now. He's got 100 beats per minute, and we're doing something like 57 kilometers an hour looking at these pictures. So that'll be about 37 miles an hour today downhill, and the heart beating at 100 beats per minute.
Just goes to show how quickly these guys recover as well, because they can go up to a maximum 180, 190 beats a minute, but once they slow down and once they go downhill like this, you will notice very quickly that the heart rate recovers dramatically. Quite interesting, because we've been given access to some of the riders' heart rates in the mountain stages, and you notice that the heart rate, you could almost superimpose it on the profile of the stage when we go over the mountain passes.
The 4 leaders have been out since the 4th kilometre today. The nearest the race leader is Thierry Dupont. and he is 52 minutes 21 seconds behind, so nobody's going to worry about a gain of 1:32, are they? As there's no dreams of yellow jerseys here. But there is a dream of a stage win, and they must know, Paul, this gap has hardly not moved for kilometre after kilometre. They may as well surrender.
But they won't, because they'll work on the fact that there's always the possibility that the main field makes a mistake, and that's what these four riders are dreaming of. We've seen breakaways succeed on a number of occasions this year in the Tour de France, and that's why these guys are going to keep on with their quest of trying to survive off the front end of the main field. 79 kilometres to the town of Bourges, which we are not going to visit today, and not too far away from going into La Châtre. La Châtre is at 48.5 kilometres to go.
We've just passed a sign on the road saying it's 8k still left. So that's 5 miles. La Châtre, bit narrow. We did drive through La Châtre. It's got narrow streets there. They've actually reversed the road system in the town for when the race arrives, not for when we arrived some hours ago, but they'll be racing down the wrong way down the one-way streets because of the bends around by the beautiful chateau there was a little bit difficult. So they'll have a different route through the city of La Châtre. I'm just trying to think of the winner there.
Cedric
Alain Vasseur's son, Cedric Vasseur, won there, didn't he? A couple of years ago, yeah.
Yes, he did. And
he's into this. He did the right leg a while back. Now he's doing the left leg. This is Thierry Coupon.
Well, it's just to put it into perspective, these guys have been in the saddle for an awful long time this afternoon, Phil. And the body reacts in strange ways, and you might think, oh, how great it is to have a rest day, but the rest day actually makes a real mess of a rider's rhythm, because every day your body gets used to doing the same thing. Breakfast, getting out, riding 5 hours, coming back, dinner, bed. When you have a rest day, the body is not quite the same as it normally is, because you only go out for an hour and a half or so, and the body sometimes shuts down, and you've got to get it going again.
Well, we saw the Benoît Vaugrenard. He's finished third in the Circuit of the South this year, so he's got some form as he continues in the lead here. Now it's Quick-Step taking a little bit of responsibility, because they've got Tom Bowen. If he feels like sprinting, he hasn't shown us any good sprinting legs at the moment. So each team putting one rider up front playing the part as they continue the chase. Now let me remind you about the chalkboat, the Nike chalkbot. As we pass messages on the road written by Nike's chalkbot, we want to remind you to log on to wearyellow.com. Your message of inspiration could be written on the roads of the Tour de France. I'm going to do it, he says. Their backup plan, in case you miss all these messages, don't forget, enjoy it and go online to wearyellow.com and log on, submit your messages of courage and inspiration. They could be on the route to Tour in a flash. There's the peloton, and they've visibly picked up the tempo here, I would say, even though they're still smiling. Astana has one rider in the front. There's the farmers of the Potato Festival. That's about to happen in Provence, I think the town was. We'll take a break.
Every year, the staggering cost of water main breaks affects more than just our wallets. Flooding and traffic jams, as well as water waste and contamination, affect every aspect of our lives. Now is the time to focus our resources on building a stronger and better infrastructure. JM Eagle Plastic Pipe offers an innovative long-term solution. Virtually leak-proof and invulnerable to corrosion, JM Eagle Pipe maintains its quality and performance over time. That's the power of plastic. That's JM Eagle, building essentials for a better tomorrow.
I go through life taking in new sensations, temptations, like ones awakened by my McCafe iced mocha. With decadent chocolate and whipped cream sweeping sweetness into my soul, I'm ready to spice things up. Ice cold or steamy hot, I feel ready to take it all on. My McCafe is about setting aside the past and making room for the new. New sensations? I'm all about them.
At First Bank, we do not clone nor endorse the cloning of U.S. currency. Would be against international law and a breach of banking ethics. The $50 you receive upon opening a free checking account is real money and has not been duplicated in a covert genetics laboratory. So at your earliest convenience, go to First Bank or visit us online and get $50 that has never been cloned.
There's more excitement coming to Blackhawk. Are you ready for Blackhawk's 24-hour fun? Blackhawk, bet up to $100. Are you ready for the thrill of craps and roulette? Same Blackhawk, more ways to win. Now playing.
Welcome back. Well, there's Thor Hushovd in the green jersey, and I just hear a call for Mark Renshaw's had a flat tyre. You might see him at the back of the race. He is the lead-out man for Mark Cavendish, and so he needs to get that tyre changed quickly and get back up towards Mark. Mark is riding a little bit nearer the front now. Kurt Attel-Arvidsson looks as though he's going to try and limp to the finish. He crashed, remember, and appears to have hurt his collarbone. Well, as we look here at the four breakaway riders, they're just, what, 49 kilometers to go. 1 minute 33 seconds is the gap at the moment. And I don't think that it's going to be too much longer. We might just get through La Charte, but then they're going to have to pick him up and get on with the job.
It's been a cat and mouse game this afternoon, really, Phil, because the main field, I think, have felt all of the time that they had it under control. They knew exactly what they needed to do, and they still know exactly what they have to do to pull back those four leaders. I think there are so many riders in this main field want the main field to finish together on this first stage after the rest day.
Well, I really think it is the tail wagging the dog today. I think the riders are having the last word on this radio ban because they've just turned off the race. They'll sweep up and we will get an exciting finish, because that's for sure. But they've certainly decided not to race flat out today. That is equal. And don't forget, Alberto Contador, Lance Armstrong, both in the pack today, as are all the leaders. They haven't seen any of those leading groups at the front at all. And this race will go down to the Alps, I think, before we'll know who on the Astana team is going to be the real leader, and whether Nocentini can be strong enough in the Alps itself.
However, Nocentini does need to be attentive on the run into the finish on these kind of stages, especially with the tricky running we've got here this afternoon, because his advantage is extremely slim over Alberto Contador. We are only talking about 6 seconds, and I think you mentioned it earlier, Phil, at the average speed of the Tour so far. The physical difference between Alberto Contador and Rinaldo Nocentini is only 66 meters.
Yeah, not a lot when we're almost at half distance in the Tour de France, is it? Anyway, there's a lot of racing to come, of course. Some terrific challenging stages left in this race. And another reason the riders are going slow possibly is they are frightened of the last week of the Tour de France this year. It's quite horrendous through the Alps, and of course we have 1-1-2 just before the finish in Paris. Here we are into La Charte.
Well, I think they do need to be concerned about the last week of the Tour, because it really is very difficult. Just a quick look at Brian Van Borg's heart rate, Phil. He's only beating at 119 beats a minute, which is really a restful heart rate as far as I'm concerned. And if you look at his wattage, his wattage is 128.
It's nothing, is it?
It is nothing.
You wouldn't light a candle with that.
No, you probably couldn't. But to put it into perspective, if you're developing a high amount of wattage, you're looking at figures at around about 300 to 350.
Yeah.
And he's well off that mark.
All indicating that the race is shut down today and allowing those riders to run, but they're not allowing them out the sight. They've just kept them at around the 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes for mile after mile today, or kilometre after kilometre. This is the lovely town now of La Charte. Now into the no entry section here to get the riders around the town. It's a very narrow streety town, this. It's in the centre of the Black Valley, by the way, and the Indre itself runs through La Charte. Excuse me. And the gap, the length of that river is 280 kilometres. It is a tributary of the Loire.
And the Loire is the longest river in France, is it not?
It is indeed.
Just check.
I think it's just over 1,000 kilometres. You caught me there now.
I know, but I know you say it every year that's the lock, but so I believe you. What is quite interesting, though, Phil, about Le Chartre, there's a very old part of town where they've got those half-timbered yellow sandstone buildings, which really are very beautiful. It was, in fact, occupied by the British, the town of Le Chartre, way back in the 14th century. But most of the fortifications, which were built up to around about 1788, were demolished in the 18th century.
Well, that's they're bringing it through here now. All the traffic has disappeared, and it's about 8 hours since we drove through this morning, and it's nice empty roads. Just a quick reminder, the Peloton burn into town here in La Chartre. Cadillac Ride of Your Life Sweepstakes. Log on to versus.com/Ride of Your Life. Chance to win a trip for 2 to the 2010 Tour de France and Cervelo S2 bicycle. And also win a yellow jersey or a polka dot jersey, similar to the ones we use in the Cadillac Performance Prediction segment. All be signed by us. The code word is performance today. Here come the Peloton into town now. About 1.5 minutes behind the 4 leaders. They're just on 4 hours of racing now as they come through La Chartre. There's the left-hand turn for the Peloton. The others are just leaving town right now, the 4 leaders. That spread still just about, it's nosed up a couple of seconds. 1:42, they're saying now.
Yeah, Phil, just talking about Cedric Vasseur and his victory here in Le Chartre was in 1997, and on that occasion not only did he get himself the victory of the stage, but he also got himself the yellow jersey, and he wore the yellow jersey right the way down to the Pyrenees, and strangely enough he lost it on the road to Arcalis, where we visited this year.
That's right, and that was where Jan Ullrich was the winner on the day, and the winner of the race a little while after that. So here comes the Peloton, time to unload the bottles. There's a Souvenir gone skidding across the road. A little bit dangerous doing that, I must say. This is the Dutch Rabobank team setting the pace at the moment. They've lost just that one man, Robert Gessing. And it's a shame because we wanted to see how he would have climbed in the Alps. We'll take another break. Rejoin us.
Dude, you have a hammer in your head.
We need to get you to the hospital, dude.
Dude, it's Thursday.
Big Block Thursday on Speed. 3 big hours of races, chases, and crashes. Experience the drag racing phenomenon. Pinks All Out at 8. Then hunt down stolen cars on Jacked at 9. And live life in the crash lane with Wrecked at 10. Got plans Thursday night? You do now. Big Block Thursday premieres Thursday at 8 Eastern, only on Speed.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Finding a great low rate on auto insurance in today's tough economy doesn't have to be a perilous journey into the unknown. Just call the General right now for an instant quote. You'll get a great low rate, a low monthly payment, and a down payment as low as $59. Don't get caught driving uninsured or paying more for insurance than you need. Call or log on to the General now for immediate proof of insurance.
Best car insurance rates in town. Call 1-800-GENERAL now.
Kelly Saunders Nature Valley. The place that inspires her to go faster and slower. Elk Mountains, Colorado. Where's yours? 100% natural Nature Valley granola bars. The taste nature intended.
% of all the vehicles we've ever sold in this country are still on the road. Now that's a long-term investment. Range Rover, the luxury that's more than a luxury. For special deals, visit a Land Rover Center today.
Tonight, Versus delivers sports from soup.
Sports soup for everyone!
To nuts. First at 11, no one in the sports world can hide from Sports Soup's Matt Eisman. Then, pride and passion mix with a dose of insanity when the fans take over on Fanarchy.
I'm gonna eat this cat.
Sports Soup and Fanarchy, tonight, only on Versus.
The 2009 Tour de France on Versus is brought to you by Nature Valley Granola Bars that taste nature intended. And by Land Rover, designed for the extraordinary.
Welcome back to the Tour de France. The pace beginning to hot up. In fairness to the riders, which are not appearing to race very fast, they are racing into a light headwind today, and that's the way it will stay all the way through to the finish in Issoudun. These are the 4 leaders, slightly increasing the lead after coming through La Chotte, and none of these affecting the destiny of the yellow jersey today. All that Noscentini has to do is finish with the sprinters, get the same time, and he's in business. Another day in yellow tomorrow. Good tempo riding, but they're just getting on with the job in hand here and hope there's no reaction. At the moment there isn't, although again as they've left town it's come back to the 1:38.
Casting my mind back, Phil, to the stage finish in Nantes last year, there was a breakaway situation like this and Samy Dumoulin was in that break, and it looked obvious that they were going to get caught on the running towards the finish, but as the main field accelerated, so accelerated the breakaway of 4 riders, and the gap stayed the same all the way on the running towards the finish. And I wonder if Samy Dumoulin is orchestrating a similar kind of operation this afternoon, hoping that the main field doesn't come back.
Well, it's interesting, and it would be very intriguing if they were to actually stay away, because that would mean, of course, the likelihood of a Frenchman would win on Bastille Day, although the Russian rider Mikhail Ignatieff, he won't be worried about France's celebrations of independence. He would rather take the stage win for himself.
Well, I've seen so many occasions on Bastille Day, Phil, where there has been a breakaway with a lot of French riders in and they haven't come up with the victory. In fact, one very famous one I remember was when our old friend from the Case d'Epargne got himself the victory, Vicente Garcia Acosta. He was away with Nicolas Jalabert, and the Frenchmen watched each other while the Spaniard attacked them and went on the road to Draguignan to get himself a win.
Looks like we're passing through the desert here, but in fact they've cropped the hay there, and this is the area where we saw this wonderful huge pint mugs of beer modelled out of straw. Now I'm just wondering if the cameras will pick it up, because it was quite amazing.
I've just been watching, Phil, for the last 2 hours, that Mikhail Ignatieff has not done any pacemaking at all in this group. Very rarely has he come to the front, and I wonder if he's planning a last-minute attack. He's been in the breakaway a number of times, almost 350 kilometers of breakaway for the Russian rider since the start of the Tour, but he hasn't yet garnered any success on the stage, and that may well be his tactic here, to just stay in this group for as long as possible, and when they get a little bit closer to the finish, he may well try for a long lone attack. There's Villeneuve in the white jersey there, taking on board some food, and there's Hubon just taking on a drink as well on the running towards the finish. You can see that energy bar. Riders in the first part of the race try to eat as much solid food as possible, mainly for psychological reasons, to feel as if you've got some heavy food in your stomach. But in the latter part of the race, they tend to eat some more energy gels or energy bars, which, although not the most appetizing meal in the world, they give the riders the amount of calories that they need. It's getting ready for tonight, Phil, the Chateau d'Arc, and there will be a big celebration there for France's Independence Day, of course, the Bastille Day, or as they call it here, le 14 juillet.
There'll be a lot more fireworks around the Tour de France than in it, I think, today, as of course they get ready for the celebrations at midnight. We'll see plenty of fireworks here. Most famous firework display, by the way, is in Carcassonne in the far south, where we were a few days ago, down by Saint-Giron. They claim to have the best fireworks display anywhere in France on the celebration day.
Well, we've seen it on a couple of occasions, and it is rather impressive to see the fireworks going off over this incredible walled medieval city. There's the main field in the background, and this is what they're looking for. It's down to 1 minute and 21 seconds. They've always been in the sight of the peloton this afternoon, Phil, on these long rolling roads through the Launder, and that's why I feel that the main field have been fairly relaxed in their desire to pull back these men.
Actually, Paul, that lovely shot we got there of the Chateau d'Ars, I've just found out that today they're having an international meeting of instrument makers and master bagpipe players. So that's what all those chairs were for. There's no firework display at all.
It also hosts there the Georges Sand International Centre, a very famous French novelist. There's Nicholas Roach sitting at the front there. A lot of interest around Nicholas Roach in the white and green jersey there, the national champion. I went back and checked through my record books, Phil, and in fact Stephen Roach never was the national champion of Ireland, and the reason was because there were only 2 professionals from Ireland when he was racing. There was himself and Sean Kelly.
That's absolutely right, yes. They call them all elite cyclists these days. So it looks as though it would like this rider here, which is Stefan Goubert, the second oldest man in the race, dropping back here. 6 minutes 54, looking for his team car. Pressure is still off at the front. Here comes his team car. Oh no, I apologise. He's got a flat back tyre there. So it's time to get that good time to change. Pressure's not too bad. A Garmin slipstream rider moving up from the team car on the right there. He's gone through. Plenty of cars here. Is it a good change? Well, it's not a bad one. No, it's a pretty good one. Stefan Goubert is on his way. 40 years of age. And there's the peloton, and that is not the road to be a local breakaway in, because they can see you all of the way now. Now don't forget the Tour de France here on Versus, and head-to-head at Versus.com for live updates, fan chat, rider info, and even Lance Armstrong's video blog. From time trials to the grueling climbs at Mont Ventoux, Versus.com has you covered with the Tour's total interactive experience. The Tour de France at Versus.com. Seeing the sprinters there. I might be seeing plenty of those shortly as we get down again into the lovely Chateau d'Ars there. Change of direction for the Tour. We've turned right here. Well, we're going to take a break. Bernard Eisel doing work, as he always does, for Team Columbia HTC at this stage of the Tour de France, hoping he's paving the way for a sprint win for Mark Cavendish. See you in a moment.
In sheer speed, I truly don't think there's anyone that can match me. All the best leaders have a little bit of arrogance and confidence to them.
For me, when I face a hitter, I'm not going to give in. Whoever it is at the plate, I'm not going to give in to them. When I got diagnosed with cancer, it was a big shock. All of a sudden, you get your legs taken out from under you. There were some days in there where I felt sorry for myself, but once I got over those days, it was okay. I'm going to attack this with, my best stuff. Getting back to the mound was harder than I thought it was going to be. It was going to be like riding a bike. Get down to spring training, get in shape, start throwing, get people out. It didn't really work that way. It was a struggle. But once I got there, it was kind of like business as usual, go out and pitch.
And here's a pitch. It is a strike. John Lester pitches a no-hitter.
If you're me, if you're in my shoes and you get diagnosed with cancer, would you give up and not want to get back to baseball?
Well, I was shopping for a new car. Which one's me? A cool convertible or an SUV? Too bad I didn't know my credit was whack, cause now I'm driving off the lot in a used subcompact. F-R-E-E, that spells free. Creditreport.com, baby. Saw their ads on my TV. Thought about going but was too lazy. Now instead of looking fly and rolling fat, my legs are sticking to the vinyl and my posse's getting laughed at. F-R-E-E, that spells free. Creditreport.com, baby. Offer applies with enrollment.
Dude, you have a hammer in your head.
We need to get you to the hospital, dude.
But dude, it's Thursday.
Big Block Thursday on Speed. 3 big hours of races, chases, and crashes. Experience the drag racing phenomenon. Pink's All Out at 8. Then hunt down stolen cars on Jacked at 9. And live life in the crash lane with Wrecked at 10. Got plans Thursday night? You do now. Big Block Thursday premieres Thursday at 8 Eastern, only on Speed.
Oh, no. Oh.
There's more excitement coming to Blackhawk. Are you ready for Blackhawk's 24-hour fun? Blackhawk, bet up to $100. Are you ready for the thrill of craps and roulette? Same Blackhawk, more ways to win. Now playing.
Yes, less than an hour to the finish. It's time for Team Columbia HTC to get the riders to the front now and try and lead Mark Cavendish out for his third stage win of this year's Tour de France. A little breakaway has got to be reeled in. Well, Mark Cavendish, there's no doubt how quick this rider is, and he's got 6 stage wins in history now in the Tour de France. He's aiming at the British record, which stands at 8. Here's our Star Motorcycles athlete profile on Mark Cavendish. Mark Cavendish, he swings to the left, he kicks. Mark Cavendish so quick over this last distance, he gets it. That is unbelievable.
There's no one around at the minute who can fight for fastest guy in the world. It sounds arrogant, it sounds brash, but you know, you can't argue with it.
Cavendish kind of showed that he was the fastest sprinter out there last season.
Cavendish is fast. The last 100 meters, then it's fast.
Mark Cavendish is probably the last true sprinter. The guy who's really fast if he can come from the back when he wants to. I think he's unbeatable.
There's the explosion coming from Mark Cavendish, and he really has proven here that he's got the fastest kick over the last 50 metres.
In all round sprinting and bike riding, then I'm probably the worst of the bunch, but in sheer speed, I truly don't think there's anyone that can match me. Maybe he comes across as a little bit outspoken or cocky. In 2008, Tom Boonen was never 5 bike lengths faster than Oscar Freire. Pataki was never 5 bike lengths faster than Oscar Freire. I was 3-4 bike lengths faster than Oscar Freire, so obviously Boonen and Pataki have to be 5 bike lengths to beat me.
I mean, yeah, he's a sprinter.
Sprinters kind of have that reputation a little bit. Their confidence is what carries them for the finish line. In a flat-out 250 drag strip to line, then for sure I'm going to be the fastest. It's evident. Almost all the best leaders have a little bit of arrogance and confidence to them.
He knows that he's fast. If he's not boxed in, closed in a sprint, he wins, and he has the confidence from that.
I think I'm known for just speaking what I think. He says what he thinks, and I think that's awesome, and he always backs it up. He's just stating facts, basically. If you look at what he's saying, he's a really good guy. I love having him on team.
Yes, Mark Cavendish, and all this, and he's only 24 years of age. 154 pounds of sheer speed when he starts the sprint. Look at his reputation. 2 stage wins this year in the Tour. He got 4 last year and 4 this year in the Giro d'Italia. But they've still got to catch the leaders, and we're back up with the leaders. This is Benoit Vaugrenard at the moment. And they're virtually slowing down now. I can't believe they're not sweeping them up, but the gap is just about hanging on in there. Huge crowd applauding the 4 leaders on the Tour de France stage today. We're going from Limoges to Issoudun, 194 kilometres. Just on 33 kilometres, there's still to ride. This is the closest we've been for a while, at least, Paul, 1 minute and 12. Every time the cameras look at these guys, they seem to be creeping to me. There's the peloton, Jens Voigt there as well. It's almost as if they're waiting to put on just a show for the last 10 or 15 kilometres. I notice a lot of Team Columbia riders are moving up now for Mark Cavendish.
Well, they're waiting. They've not had to do too much work, but what they will do once they get towards the outskirts of Issoudun is get themselves organised into what we call the train. The train is a lead-out line of riders like pacemakers in track and field who take a runner around the track in order to try and get a world record. What they will do is ride in a line on the front end of the main field. To begin with, it will be the stronger riders who will do longer turns over a couple of kilometres. And then the train becomes a little bit more refined, and on the final 1.5 kilometres, there'll probably only be 2 or 3 riders left at the front of a train. And where Team Columbia HTC are concerned, it's nearly always George Hincapie who is the penultimate rider to pull off. Then the last rider to take Mark Cavendish into the last 200 metres is now the very famous Mark Renshaw.
Renshaw's just been behind. He's had a wheel change. He had a flat tyre, but that's okay. He's got back in, no problems. Everybody get back in at this sort of speed right now. The riders just letting the organisers know they want the rear pieces back. They want to speak to the directors. Now there's one more day planned, stage 10 I think it is, when they again are not going to use the earpieces.
13.
Stage 13, sorry, thanks Paul. And I'm wondering if the organisers in conjunction with the UCI might decide to forget that move now and give them their earpieces back.
You never know, that may well be the situation because it has been a slow race. I put the fact down to the slow race because the situation has been ideal on the road for the main contenders. These 4 riders all a long way down in the overall classification. A lot of teams quite happy to leave them out there to fry in the sun on a day like this when they're not dangerous, but also they've kept them very much within the possibility of pulling them back quite easily on the road to the finish.
We are looking at the 4 leaders here on today's stage of the Tour de France. 32 kilometres remaining. It has been a pretty solid day with no real excitement. These boys breaking away 4 kilometres into the stage. They've hardly got away and out of sight of the peloton, who seem to have pegged them with little interest in catching them. Whether it's effective because of the radio ban, we're not sure, but we have a feeling they have performed some sort of a go slow here. There's the blackboard man doing a big job today because the riders can't talk to their team directors. Minute 5 seconds, he's saying.
Well, 1 minute and 5 seconds, that corresponds to a distance of just around about the 1 kilometre mark on the open road. And because these roads are so big and long and straight, the main field can basically see these 4 leaders, and they can judge their effort, the effort that they need to put in to catch them, to absolute perfection.
Samuel Dumoulin is the rider in red. He had a stage victory in the Tour last year up on the west coast of France. Benoit Vongrenard is the rider for Français Jeux, the white jersey. And then we've got Thierry Hupont and also Mikhail Ignatieff. Everybody coming to the front here, Paul, all sending different team members up. David Miller there in the centre as well for Garmin.
Yes, he's looking after his teammate there, Bradley Wiggins. Wiggins, the 2nd place rider from Garmin Slipstream. But you can now notice all of the same coloured jerseys starting to group together at the front end of the main field. Some of them are doing it because they want to protect the leaders, the men who want to win this race after 3 weeks. They're getting Alberto Contador, Lance Armstrong, Andy Schleck to the front end of the pack to make sure they're not involved in any accidents. The other teams are moving the sprinters to the front end of the main field, getting ready for the moment when they start to pick up the pace and charge into town.
Well, all the teams putting men on the front and contributing to the pace and the workload. Actually, most of it's being done surprisingly by Team Liquigas. 29% of the effort is being done by the Italian team. And Astana, who we saw always on the front throughout the trip to the Pyrenees, they've dropped out of it today. They've put in 15% of the work today at the front. And we've seen Lance Armstrong sitting at the back. We haven't seen Contador at all. We've virtually never seen the yellow jersey of Noscentini. They've all taken a second rest day.
Well, that's a good way to look at it for these riders, but I think they need to take a rest day over the next couple of days, because after that, Phil, you might as well check out rest days and recuperation days on the road, because we are going to have a very big battle every day in the Alps, and the Alps really are quite difficult this year.
So the 4 riders, when we come up on them, they appear to be getting their heads down and pedaling well. Yet the clock is telling us they're going absolutely nowhere. It's now 57 seconds. There's the instrument makers getting ready to have a party once the Tour has gone past. See you in a moment.
Hi, may I help you?
Yeah, I'm looking for car insurance that isn't going to break the bank.
You're in the right place. Only Progressive gives you the option to name your price. Here.
A price gun?
Mm-hmm.
So I tell you what I want to pay.
And we build you a policy to fit your budget.
That's cool. Feel so empowered.
Power to the people.
The option to name your price. New and only from Progressive. Call or click today.
Where can a marketing administrator be a watercraft engineer? Where can a doctor serve his community while also treating patients around the world? Where can a student stay in school while expanding his education beyond the classroom? In the U.S. Army Reserve, you'll find the strength to develop new skills and gain an edge to get ahead. There's Strong, and then there's Army Strong. Visit goarmy.com/reserve.
I really was looking for something that would be real, and that's why I chose eHarmony, because it's much deeper.
Only eHarmony finds you deep, meaningful matches based on 29 proven dimensions of compatibility.
I never would have met Tara without eHarmony. She's incredibly intelligent. She has a smile that lights up a room. I don't know how I could love her any more than I do right now, but tomorrow I'm going to love her more.
Get started at eHarmony.com today and review all your matches for free.
There are moments in life when there are no limits, no boundaries, no walls. that the rules of gravity just don't apply. Because there is no statute of limitations on greatness.
It's stinging a little bit more than usual. Yeah, you'll get used to it.
The longer you keep your high-mileage car, the more it pays you back. Get Castrol GTX High Mileage. It helps engines last longer by fighting the main causes of engine failure.
I think a dime went up my nose. Yeah, it happens.
Don't change your car, change your oil to Castrol GTX High Mileage. It's more than just oil. It's liquid engineering.
Hamels looks toward home. The pitch. He walks him.
Come on, Cole. Keep pounding the corner. Give him a chase one outside. Who are you?
Oh, Dad.
Oh, no.
Wearing the same cap the pros wear doesn't mean you're one. New era. Make the majors or buy one at the store.
Welcome back. We're looking down on the Tour de France. It heads in towards a first-time finish in Issoudun today. Well, they're still clear and hanging in just about. So take a look at these pictures. They're beautiful if you're looking at them in high definition, and you can just check your local listings here on Versus, as the Tour de France has never looked better through the screen. There's the Peloton, still kind of keeping the pace and kind of keeping an eye on the breakaways, but doing nothing. Now, this is not to be, this looks like to me as though it's Hutrovic who is actually changing his champion's jersey here, or he's had a problem, but it's a difficult thing to do on a bike. I don't know what it says on his back there, but I think that is a permanent tattoo. Hutrovic is in his first time Tour de France for him. Not to be recommended, by the way, for anybody who's riding on public highways. These roads are close to the Tour de France. In fact, it was Pizzato, I think it was Pizzato who was doing that. Filippo Pizzato of Team Katusha. They've completely rewritten the books as far as the design of the national champions jersey go of Italy. And as a result of that, the Italian Federation has written and told him he's got to redesign it back to the way they want it, as it's their copyright. But it hasn't happened yet, unless he was making a personal change then. Colombia are now getting themselves on the front. The pace is visibly lifted here now, so that's a good cue for us to go back to the start this morning for our Cisco Insider and find out what Mark Cavendish has planned for today.
Today seems like a great opportunity for a field sprint and you getting a victory. You're through the mountains. How do the legs feel, and how will today shake out?
They're okay. You know, it was a welcome rest day, I think, for everybody, and yeah, we've got 3 hopefully sprint days today. Obviously, the fact with no radios might play a part, but you know, if we can keep it in control from the beginning, and hopefully we can get a bunch sprint and another win. So.
You mentioned no radios. How does that affect your team? Do you guys have an advantage since your lead out is so dialed in?
I don't know really. I think the major factor is going to be the time splits. You know, getting the time splits to the break. You know, but if we can keep it under control and not let it get too much anyway, then it shouldn't be a problem. So.
I noticed you have the green glasses still on. You were getting pretty used to that green gear. How important is making up that 11 points to Tor Hushovd? Where does that stack up in terms of putting that green jersey back on your shoulders?
At the minute, like I said, like I've always said, I'm just to concentrate on stage wins, reaching Paris. If it comes back, it comes back. But that's that. So.
Thanks, Cav. Appreciate it.
Well, if he does win today, you'll get 35 points. So Hushovd's really got to be up in the first 2 just behind him. Otherwise, it will automatically come back to Mark Cavendish. But of course, he's got to win, and there are others who are going to try and take it off him. 25 kilometers to go for the peloton. Still chasing down those 4 leaders. 49 seconds. It's time to close in on these boys now, just inside the 25-kilometer point. They're not too far behind them. And then it's quite a long way for the sprinters to hold that peloton together, Paul, if they pick them up in the next couple of K.
Yes, but I think there's so many teams, Phil, have one desire, and that's to come into town all together. There's a lot of sprinters who have had nothing out of the Tour de France this year, and they will obviously want to try and have a crack at getting ahead of Mark Cavendish on the run in towards the line. Well, there's that little bottle of wine we saw a little earlier, and that really is quite a nice image.
Well, we didn't see the rest, though. That's all been happening during the day since we got the 2 jugs of beer either side. They're made of straw with a white tablecloth and a yellow pipe for a handle, the wine, and of course the colours of the French flag. Bastille Day here in France, Independence Day, and here comes the peloton. So our helicopter worked that one out to perfection.
No, he certainly did. France Television doing a great job of bringing some magical images of France this afternoon. But you look at the speed of that main field now. This is the start of the race in earnest. The Armada in front of all the motorbikes waiting to get the images to bring them around the world. And I would think the wattage now, Phil, is starting to increase quite a bit. Chris Sorensen, who's actually sitting at the back end of the main field, has gone up to 251 watts, although his heart rate still hasn't started to creep up.
Still pretty relaxed just at the moment, but the Garmin boys are also going to come forward. They are saying they will try to launch the sprint at 700 meters to go. We'll see if they can. Bouygues Telecom are also taking a big interest in this as well. They're bringing the whole pack forward too. And also Columbia HTC for Mark Cavendish. Mark is the obvious guy to beat, that's for sure, today. And they'll all try to fight for his back wheel in the running through the town.
Belgian national champion moving to the front over on the right-hand side there, Tom Bowen. He's got his men organised here this afternoon. But just talking there about Tyler Farrar, the American on Garmin Slipstream, he's got 2 really good guys to lead him out in the sprint. David Miller can pull for a long 3 or 4 kilometres. And, of course, Bradley Wiggins has got incredible experience from 3 Olympic gold medals.
Well, there's the wind blowing now, and it's slightly more favourable here, but they circumnavigate the town, so it will be a headwind finishing sprint today, which is behind them at the moment. Good close shots here. We see the face on Samuel Dumoulin as we run into the final few kilometres of the day. They broke away at the 4th kilometre into the day. They've been up front now for 4 hours in the lead today. The peloton, though, enjoying the scenery and the artistry of the farmers in the regions.
The relationship you have with your car isn't so different from your other relationships. Some burn hot and fast, but don't last very long. Some burn for a while, but don't throw much heat. And some smolder beautifully for a long time.
The award-winning Cadillac CTS sedan. And coming soon, the all-new CTS Sport Wagon.
Wow, sweet minivan. Woo.
That's minivan A to you.
It's raining! With the great taste of a McDonald's McCafe Mocha, a better day is possible. Freshly ground espresso, real steamed milk, and decadent chocolate. Go ahead, McCafe your day.
This is Steve and Karen. With video on demand from Comcast, they're practically transporting themselves. It's quick, in-depth, and free, so you can experience what you want when you want it.
Mile High Grizzlies Semi-Pro Football. The season is underway and tickets are on sale. Check out the undefeated 2008 champions on demand at Channel 888. Select sports, then Grizzlies.
Accountability. EC360. At 10 p.m., that's what we're all about. The truth matters. We're keeping them honest. Someone has to. Raw, honest reporting. Anderson Cooper 360, weeknights at 7 p.m. Pacific on CNN.
Brought to you by your neighborhood Toyota store.
Delivers sports from soup.
Sports soup for everyone!
To nuts. First at 11. No one in the sports world can hide from Sports Soup's Matt Eisman. Then, pride and passion mixed with a dose of insanity when the fans take over on Fanarchy.
I'm gonna eat this cat!
Sports Soup and Fanarchy. Tonight, only on Versus.
Welcome back, and this is the beautiful Juillet Castle with the area view here by courtesy of Trek. There's lots of castles and churches on the route today. We're in the centre of France as the riders head towards Issoudun, and they're getting inside 12 miles from the finish now, so they're going to be getting a little bit excited. Well, as we say goodbye to the castle in this area, it's time to say hello to Craig Hummer and Bob Roll. What's on the menu tonight, boys?
A few things, Phil. I understand you're going to be joining us for part 1 of a 3-segment piece on Greg LeMond, which should be very interesting. Your partner, Paul Sherwen, is going to join us to talk about Laurent Jalabert. And my partner, he's ready for a rapid-fire Ask Bobke segment, aren't you?
We're going to answer some more questions. People have questions. Unfortunately, I'm the one with the answers, so you have to bear with us.
Not unfortunately at all. I like that segment. More later.
Bob has the answer to everything. Come on, Craig. Good to see you guys. Have a great show, and I'll see you later on. Back to the race now, and back at the back, I'm afraid, Kurt Attel-Arvesen. He's come back in there. He was strung out a minute ago, but they've eased a little bit, I suspect, and he's got himself just about in contact. He'll stay as long as he can. I doubt he'll be in contact at the finish. But we wish him well, because obviously he's off to hospital tonight for x-rays on that injured shoulder. Almost there, Paul, running out of time now. All of a sudden we have a big echelon across the road indicating the wind from the right of our picture as we look at the screen. Liquigas trying to take it for Daniela Bonatti, and here comes the charge by Columbia HTC, including the white jersey in there, because that's Tony Martin. He's also on the team Columbia, and they're all trying to get their man Mark Cavendish into a position to win what will be his 3rd stage this year.
And you can bet your life that on the wheel of Mark Cavendish there is a huge battle to try and get into the slipstream of that long train of Team Columbia HTC, because that is the wheel that all of the other sprinters will try and judge their sprint on. I actually think that is the wrong tactic. The best tactic, I would say, to try and beat Mark Cavendish is to go early and get your own lead out and confuse them.
Well, this is why Garmin Slipstream, that carry the American rider Tyler Farrar, they're saying they're going to make a move at 700 meters to go, and that might cause the reaction too early from the Columbia squad. Well, it'll all pan out. Mark Cavendish is beatable, but not when you come off his back wheel, because nobody can go as fast as him. He has this amazing sprint form where when he's hit the top, if they challenge him, he can lift it up another 2 miles an hour.
He's formerly a great track rider, world champion. His biggest disappointment was abandoning the Tour de France last year to concentrate on the possibility of getting a gold medal in Beijing Olympics. And I think now, Phil, he probably regrets pulling out, because he was so close to winning himself the green jersey in the Tour last year after winning 4 individual stage victories.
Well, he said this year he's going all the way to Paris, and he wants to end this Tour de France with a victory on the Champs-Élysées. Well, I'm sure the other 170 riders in the race would like to do the same thing. Well, pace is good now. These boys are just hanging on in the hope they can survive, get caught up in the confusion. Once we get into Issoudun, on the front is Benoit Vaugrenard.
And you see they've been very crafty, that leading group of 4. They rode almost at the same speed as the main field, just so the main field wouldn't panic and chase them down, and they kept a certain amount of energy left in the reservoir to be able to pick it up over the last 10 to 15 kilometers. This is still not quite the organized chase on the front end of the pack. It's one team with one man at a time, sharing the pacemaking, keeping the pace up to around 50 kilometers an hour. And the leading group of 4 have stretched out another 15 seconds. They were down to 30 seconds at one stage. And you just look how urgently they're riding here. And in fact, they're starting to pick up a slight tailwind.
That's right. So they've got a tailwind at the moment. 15 kilometers to go for the 4 leaders now. 42 seconds is the gap. And this is Thierry Hupon, who is the newcomer to the Tour de France. He's a Frenchman on the Dutch skill team. Then we've got Benoit Vaugrenard as he continues to come through. There's a chance, but it's only a slight chance at 14 kilometers from the finish today. The Peloton, I think, have got them in the gun sights now. Now, just looking down there, keep an eye out for number 11. There he is. He was dead center of our picture there. That was Mark Cavendish. Plenty of tempo riding here. Liquigas trying to get a good result here. They almost got one on the closing day in the Pyrenees with Franco Pelazzotti, outsprinted by Pierrick Fedrigo, who can produce good sprints when it matters. And I've noticed B-Box have been trying to put people up front again. Maybe it's for him, or maybe it is for the new Japanese sprinter on the block. We'll see. Now, that is Yukiya Arishio. Big crowd here now as they cheer the riders all the way home. Well, while the riders race on, let me remind you, don't forget to log on to Versus.com and create your very own fantasy cycling team. Now, it's too late to play the long-term stage race game, but you can certainly name your team and go for some of the daily prizes. All you have to do is log on to Versus.com. And for the thousands of you who have got a fantasy team, I wish you well today. I hope you put Mark Cavendish on your selections. There's the strength of the wind blowing now as the riders head towards the finish at Issoudun.
Every year, the staggering cost of water main breaks affects more than just our wallets. Flooding and traffic jams, as well as water waste and contamination, affect every aspect of our lives. Now is the time to focus our resources on building a stronger and better infrastructure. JM Eagle Plastic Pipe offers an innovative long-term solution. Virtually leak-proof and invulnerable to corrosion, JM Eagle Pipe maintains its quality and performance over time. That's the power of plastic. That's JM Eagle, building essentials for a better tomorrow.
It's right here. It's easy. It's the money you could be saving with Geico.
My Impreza has a Subaru Boxer engine. It's perfectly balanced for performance and handling. I love that engine. And I love anyone else who loves a Subaru engine too.
Impreza love knows no bounds. Love. It's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
Lease an Impreza for $179 per month or get 0% APR financing.
There are moments in life when there are no limits, no boundaries, no walls. That the rules of gravity just don't apply. Because there is no statute of limitations on greatness.
Why are you in my yard?
Why are you in your yard? There's all sorts of super destinations. You could go to a jazz festival, stock car racing, ride a donkey in a canyon. You just gotta go. I'll feed you free breakfast.
This is the new iPhone. If you want to tell it who to call, just say, call Dave Taylor.
Calling Dave Taylor, mobile.
And if you want to tell it what to play, just say, play songs by Jack Johnson.
Playing songs by Jack Johnson.
Voice control on the iPhone 3GS, the most powerful iPhone yet.
Nanomolecular what? A force field that prevents sludge.
Tired of the claims? Get a guarantee. Only Valvoline guarantees your engine up to 300,000 miles. Get Valvoline. Get guaranteed.
Well, let's have a look where they all stand in the challenges here. Alberto Contador is second at 6 seconds. Armstrong is third at 8 seconds. Leipheimer's teammate is fourth. Van der Velde sits eighth. And the last year's winner, Carlos Sastre, is 16th for 2:52. Let's check in our Cisco Insider and see what Lance had to say this morning.
Lance, next 3 days, relatively flat. You're up in a good position on the GC. How do you plan on riding these next couple days?
Totally lost. I mean, so lost today without the radio, I won't even know. I'm bringing my phone.
Be able to call into you.
No, I got my BlackBerry. I'm ready. BlackBerry, I got them all.
Johan mentioned the directors aren't really...
I'm calling back to the States to find out what's going on.
Johan mentioned the directors aren't going to force the issue too much, but he says he can't control what the riders are going to do out on the course. Have you spoken with some other riders, and what is the plans for today?
I don't know. I haven't talked to the other guys, and we haven't had our team meeting yet, but I mean, I think these days aren't that complicated. You've got Cavendish, who's a few points down now. He wants the green jersey. He wants as many stage wins as he can get. I mean, we can see what's going to happen there. Maybe let a group go, let them have a few minutes. Still got the chalkboard. They're still going to know that they're 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is. They got a strong team. They'll pull him back, and he wins the group sprint.
So you already know what's going to happen. Do you agree with not?
Let's not even do it. Let's just give it to him, and we'll go home.
Do you agree with not having the radios, or do you think it's a wrong decision to do here at the Tour?
I mean, I like them. I like having them. I think that there's arguments to be made on both sides, but at the end of the day, I think it's better to have them. I mean, with regards to the safety of the race. I mean, you can make the safety argument on both sides too, but I think on balance, we're there. I mean, we've moved down that road. We've evolved into that. The bikes look the way they look today. The wheels look the way they look today. The fabrics. I mean, all this stuff has gotten to this place. Let's not turn back now. We have other things in cycling we need to deal with. Whether or not we race with radios is not one of them.
Well, something that everybody's been talking about is the division between yourself and Alberto Contador, making a big deal about where you sat on the plane, where you sat on the bus compared to where he sat. Is it a little bit just being a little bit sensationalized? Are they making a bigger deal out of it, or is there still some division?
No, I mean, I think, well, listen, I think in the first week, they look for stories. I mean, the press room says, I mean, they analyze everything. Did you give a high five after the team time trial? Oh, we missed it. Then they hate each other. I don't think it's that way. Listen, I'm not going to lie and say there's not a little friction, not a little tension. We both want to win the Tour, so you can't deny that. But we're going to do the right thing. He's going to do the right thing, I think, and I'm committed to doing the right thing. I think the rest of the team is. And the biggest tragedy here would be if we both want it so bad and somebody else gets it. That would be ridiculous. We'd all look like fools. So we don't want that.
All right, thank you.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Well, there we are at the moment, and there's what Lance had to say about radios. Pretty non-committal, but I know Lance, and he does like these technical things, I must say, and he's not going to feel very happy today. He's sitting at the back anyway. 26 seconds is the gap at the moment, 25 as we speak. Look at the face of Samuel Dumoulin. This is when I'd like to see them out with the sprinters, I must confess, but it can't happen unless the narrow streets as they approach the finish causes the problem.
This is exactly how Samy Dumoulin got himself the stage victory last year, Phil, into Nantes. On that occasion, it was stage 3. It was a breakaway just like this. The main field were nailing them back slowly but surely on the running towards the finish, but they miscalculated, and Samy Dumoulin got himself the victory. Kim Kirken has come to the front for Columbia HTC. They're sending all of their guns up right now to pick up the pacemaking, to get themselves organized, to try and pull those 4 riders back. People put Zato's getting in there.
And the heartbeat shot up to Christophe Lemevel's heartbeat's gone to 154 now. He's doing 54 kilometers an hour, about 33 miles an hour. This was the long straight road which takes us down towards the town. Not good for the breakaway, of course, because they're so obvious now to the chase. And I see that Chavanel has got up there too to help for Quick-Step. So there are the lonely position now. The motorbikes have all been moved in front. 21 seconds. There's a massive cyclist now up behind the leaders. It's a nothing gap now. 5.8 kilometers. And look at the face of Mikhail Ignatiev as well. They've hit just on the edge of the limit of their pace.
Well, you notice as well that the gap between these 4 and the main field now, Phil, is clean. They've moved all the bikes out, and we're starting to get the big organization coming, of course, from this Team Columbia. But there's the other lead-out train on the left-hand side there as well. That's Martin Mascant on the front for Team Garmin Slipstream. They are starting to get a second line to organize the sprint today for Tyler Farrar.
Well, they've said they want to start the race earlier today for the line and try and break up the train of Columbia. And they've got to try and work something out, that is for sure. 5 kilometers to go for the 4 leaders. They are still there at 21 seconds. Little Samuel Dumoulin is under that banner ahead of the race, but here come the race now, and it's not just the team of Mark Cavendish who's leading now. The team of Tom Bowen is there, the team of Tyler Farrar is there,
and the team of Daniele Bonatti are never far away, and Team Milram of Gerard Cholik. All of the sprinters see this as a great opportunity the day after the rest day. You see all the heads turning round there. Those are the lead-out men looking to see where their sprinters are. They don't want to bring a different guy to the front. They want to know where their man is, if he's close to them, if they're in the right place, and they're doing the right job of work.
Well, they're still all working, these 4 boys, each one doing a long, hard turn at the front and then getting deep breaths at the back as he goes back through the line to go back to the front. This is the horrible straight road before we get into the curly bits, and the riders now can see the quarry, but they're having to work really hard to reach them. Nice little rise there. That might break the rhythm a little bit. They've only knocked a second off, Paul. We're heading for the next kilometre check.
They are digging extremely deep, these 4 riders. They've lifted the pace. They rode sensibly over the first part of the course, but now to survive they've got to be able to hold an average of around about 50 kilometers an hour over these next 4 kilometers. They're now inside of the 4 kilometer banner.
3 Frenchmen out of 4 leaders here celebrating Bastille Day. They're picking up quite a strong tailwind now. 4 kilometers. It's going to be about 4 seconds knocked off in the last kilometer towards the leaders. That's not quick enough. If they keep going, there will be confusion when they get into Issoudun, and so the switching and turns might form an advantage for these 4.
Vaugrenard is the man on the front now, big bike rider, 3rd overall in the Circuit of the Sarthe in the early part of this season, and Samy Dumoulin, the winner of a stage of the Tour last year, realizes you've got to keep going. Even though you can almost feel the breath of the main field behind you, you've got to keep the pressure on. This is a move from Mikhail Ignatiev. He tried that a couple of days ago, and this time he hasn't caught out Samy Dumoulin.
No, he tried it onto the road into Perpignan. It didn't work there. In fact, Thomas Voigtler got to him and won the day, but there's another kilometre ticked off. They're just on a minute per kilometre here. That will make it 3 kilometres to the 3 minutes rather to the finish. This time they nailed back the Russian rider. He was given 2nd place into Perpignan in the same time as the pack. They caught him literally on the line. He was still in front, and now it is Thierry Dupont who's now trying to do the same. He's just trying to say, don't attack, work together, we can win.
That is the logical thing. If they start attacking each other like this, what it actually does is it takes away the impetus and organization of the main field, and it has the effect then of lowering the average speed. Whereas if you bear in mind, this group behind keeps a steady high speed, and they will slowly but surely eat into the lead. 9 seconds is looking very precarious now. The sprinters will be starting to getting that little bit more twitchy, moving to the front, trying to stay in the first 10 or 15 places. It looks like David Miller is up into 2nd place, and that is for his sprinter Tyler Farrar.
He was looking around to see where Tyler was there, Miller. Now they've made that left turn there. We are in the town of Issoudun, but we're going to circumnavigate it now, and the roads will get a little bit different. The riders have to stay very much alert, and they have to stay well organized on the front.
Well, there's another move gone from that leading group of 4. I think they now know it's completely and utterly over, but it's Hupon who's gone off the front. But look at the work being done by Team Quickstep there.
Hupon has jumped away, but the field here, they're dashing and dying. You see how narrow the roads are now? But this is going to be the shutdown here at 1.6 kilometers to go here, and it's being led up by the Liquigas team trying to get Daniel Bonatti into the action. 1.4 kilometers to go. They've just caught Hubert Hupon, and I hope they'll make that bend, because that was a wide corner, and they didn't make the bend. Somebody shot off to the left on a very sharp right-hander. Is it? I just tried to Katusha rider who's gone down there, I think. That was the end of Vaugrenard, the man that was in the break, but he's come out the tail. I don't know whether our cameras can see which the rider, Katusha rider who went down.
I think it was Vladimir Karpets. Now's the big organization by Team High Road. This is Tony Martin keeping the pressure nice and high. Inside the final kilometre, George Hincapie takes control. In Hincapie's wheel is going to be Mark Renshaw. He's the man, the pilot fish, to take Mark Cavendish into the last 300 or 400 metres. Cavendish is in 3rd place. Big fight for Cavendish's wheel, because there's the green jersey of Thor Hushoff, and Tyler Farrar is right there, but he's coming up. It's actually going to spoil the lead out.
Well, Tyler Farrar is going on one side. They're confusing each other here. They almost took out the rider in the middle. As they line up now, 2 riders getting clear. Farrar trying to get himself tilted, but it looks as though he's pulling away. The green jersey there of Thor Hushovd trying to get on turns. The final lead out here by Mark Renshaw. Cavendish is now in a perfect position, but it is still 350 metres from the line. It might be too far. Farrow's hooked up to the back wheel of the green jersey of Hushovd. They've got to break soon, otherwise they'll let Cavendish go. If Cavendish gets the lead, nobody ever passes him. He's gone again. Now he'll kick again. And look at the face of Hushovd. It's beaten. He's trying to hang on for second place here as Mark Cavendish crosses the line, followed by Hushovd, Tyler Farrar, and I think the Duque is in third place there, fourth place rather. Well, Paul, he's just too quick. They should never allow him to lead out.
Well, in fact, I noticed that Garmin tried to get the switch on them when they came into the final group of chicanes there, but there was too much control, first of all by George Hincapie, then of course by Mark Renshaw, who looked like he was dying on the way down to the finish, but he took his sprint all the way to the last 200 or 300 metres because he knows that once you lead out Mark Cavendish, it's impossible to come by him. There's the crash once again. That was a Katusha rider. I think it was Vladimir Karpitz who went down pretty hard there. It didn't cause any confusion to the main sprinters at the front of the pack.
Now look at the face of Cavendish here. Mark Renshaw had to hold just a little bit longer than normal there because they'd run out of lead-out men and give Cav his best shot at the finish. He was always aware of where Hushovd was. Hushovd says he can't beat this man on these sort of finishes, and he's proved that point again. Tyler Farrar there in third place, the American sprinter, as he now looks at a green pair of glasses here, so he might be expecting the green jersey back, but he won't get it because, in fact, Hushovd getting second will keep that lead in the green jersey competition.
It certainly will, but Cavendish is proving to be an incredible sprinter, but you know what? He can't win the sprints without that man there, Mark Renshaw. Renshaw led that sprint out to absolute and utter perfection in the last 450 metres, but they were set up as well by George Hincapie, who did a great job over the last kilometre.
He was the lead-out man for Hushovd last year. Well, we're looking at Le Tour. Salutes the Tour here. That means a tower in French as well as a lap. So we're now looking down here on the finishing town. This is the White Tower, they call it here. And the view, it's open to the public in July and August only. And you can imagine the view there from the summit of Le Blanche Tour Blanche. Well, just down below us now, the race is in. Mark Cavendish is delivered, and they're going to go to bed tonight working out just how are we going to beat this man when it is a flat stage finish. Win number 3. He is now only 1 win short of the British record of 8 historical stage wins in the Tour de France. We'll take our break. Coming back, highlights, standings, podiums, interviews, anything we can bring you, we will. See you in a minute.
Up everybody, cause we're taking a ride that can strain your relationships and hurt your pride. It's the credit roller coaster, and as you can see, it kind of bites. So sing the lyrics with me. When your deck goes up, your score goes down. When you pay a little off, it goes the other way round. It's just the same for everybody, every boy and girl. The credit roller coaster makes you wanna hurl. So throw your hands in the air and wave them around like a wannabe frat boy trying to get down, and bring them right back to where your laptop's at. Log on to freecreditreport.com. Free credit score and report with enrollment and triple advantage.
If you're looking for the love of your life, you could try your luck on dating sites, or you could graduate to eHarmony. eHarmony isn't a dating site, it's a relationship site. We go beyond the pictures and paragraphs to match you on the deepest dimensions of compatibility, like intellect and values, things proven to be the foundation of successful long-term relationships. If you want love, don't settle for a dating site. Go to eHarmony.com. Get started today and review all your compatible matches for free.
Welcome to Progressive.com. Are you all right?
A ferocious white whale wrecked my boat.
Well, I'm sure we can help you, Captain
Ahab.
Well, it looks like you haven't had a claim in over 4 years, so you don't have to pay a deductible. That means you saved $500.
$500? I could get an electronic fish finder.
That's the spirit.
Saving you money on boat insurance. Now that's Progressive. Call or click today.
Do aches, pains, and arthritis have you in their grip? Break the grip with Aspercream Heat Gel. Extra strength medicine delivers penetrating heat relief without embarrassing odor. Fast pain relief that keeps you going for hours. Aspercream, break the grip of pain.
travel, stress, eating on the run. Diarrhea stops me in my tracks.
Stop it fast with kaopectate. Unlike pills, KO speeds to the source, shutting down diarrhea and its discomfort fast.
Really fast.
Stop diarrhea fast with kaopectate.
Michelle has had leukemia since she was 2. The Coleman twins were born 24 weeks premature. Max had his first surgery when he was 3 days old. These kids are alive today, and it's a real miracle. When your child needs help, there's a Children's Miracle Network hospital nearby. Go to childrensmiraclenetwork.org to support our hospitals helping local kids.
Just delivers sports from soup.
Sports soup for everyone!
To nuts. First at 11. No one in the sports world can hide from Sports Soup's Matt Eisman. Then, pride and passion mixed with a dose of insanity when the fans take over on Fanarchy.
I'm gonna eat this cat!
Sports Soup and Fanarchy. Tonight, only on Versus.
Here's the thing that makes life so interesting. The theory of evolution claims only the strong shall survive. Maybe so. Maybe so. But the theory of competition says just because they're the strong doesn't mean they can't get their asses kicked. That's right. See, what every long shot come from behind underdog will tell you is this. The other guy may in fact be the favorite. The odds may be stacked against you, fair enough. But what the odds don't know is this isn't a math test. This is a completely different kind of test. One where passion has a funny way of trumping logic. So before you step up to the starting line, before the whistle blows and the clock starts ticking, just remember out here, the results don't always add up. No matter what the stats may say, and the experts may think, and the commentators may have predicted, when the race is on, all bets are off. Don't be surprised if somebody decides to flip the script and take a pass on yelling uncle. And then suddenly, as the old saying goes, we got ourselves a game.
Welcome back. The Tour de France has arrived now in Issoudun after 121 rather casual miles, I have to say, from Limoges today, with Mark Cavendish coming home in the sprint win. And don't forget that Mark himself has now won 3 stages of this year's Tour de France. Don't forget to tune in to our Cadillac Ride of Your Life sweepstakes. You do it by going to versus.com/Ride of Your Life. Chance to visit the Tour de France next year for 2 people. That's 2010. You can win a yellow jersey or an S2 Cervelo bicycle. The word you need, and you must log on today, is performance. Well, let's move on now and just check out our Cadillac performance highlights of the day. I'm not too sure what they were, Paul. Let's have a look.
Well, the highlight was that the race started, and it started on time with the green jersey and the yellow jersey at the front end of the main field. And as soon as the riders came out through the official start, initially there was no breakaway. It took about 4 kilometers, though, Phil, before a breakaway of 4 riders did establish itself.
Thierry Hupon was one of the riders to break away. Meanwhile, with no race radios, Levi Leipheimer literally drops back to have a word with Johan Branil. At climb number 1, though, the action did begin. Well, it didn't really. These 4 riders going up this climb, just sharing the points. First 3 get points on a 4th category climb in the order of Ignatieff, Hupon and Renard were the riders. We moved on to climb number 2, which went out to 29 kilometers covered. At Saint-Laurent-les-Églises, Ignatieff again ahead of Hupon and Samuel Dumoulin getting the last point on offer there. And then to climb at number 3, the last climb of the day. This time the skilled rider Hupon was taking this one from Von Renard and Dumoulin.
Well, it was a real cat and mouse day, really, because the leading group of 4, Phil, only ever had more than 3 minutes advantage. But there was a nasty crash about 60 kilometers to go. And if you just look over to the left-hand side of the road there, you might just spot the national champion of Norway, because Kurt Adler Arvesen went down very hard indeed. He's over there on the right.
Yes, in the championship colours there. He'll already be on his way to hospital, I'm afraid, because we're suspecting he might have broken his left collarbone. It was quite a heavy fall for him there. Danny Pate went down in the same crash. He was fine. He quickly caught up. But look at the pain here on the face of Kurt Adler Arvesen. That's a real shame, and it could be a big blow for Saxo Bank, who are still looking to win this race, and they need strong men if they're going to do that. The 4 riders never really got out of sight. They left Lachart here, continuing with the leader just on 2 minutes, but they were never really away.
The yellow jersey had a fairly easy day because all the teams of the sprinters were the ones setting the pace making up at the front end of the pack, keeping that leading group of 4 never really very much more than a minute ahead of the race. However, on the run in towards the finish, they did lift their game, and they really pushed it to absolute and utter perfection, because the main field, once they lifted their pace, had a very hard time closing down the last 30 seconds.
5 kilometers to go. The pressure was on, but these guys really thought they had a chance. They were working well. Everybody sharing the pace, and then the chase at 5 kilometers to go, though, was now down to well inside 30 seconds. The catch finally coming as they headed into the town of Issoudun. The last man to be caught here, Thierry Hupon. He did try to hang on in there. He's the local boy in this region. Round the bend, though, watch the rider from Katusha. Ouch! We think it was Vladimir Karpich, but we couldn't stop to check as the race continued towards the line, opening up for the obvious, a win for Mark Cavendish.
And a well-orchestrated win by Team Columbia HTC. A little bit of confusion as Garmin Slipstream tried to get in on the action, but you don't get into the wheel of Mark Cavendish when he's being led out by his Australian teammate, Mark Renshaw. Renshaw dug very deep to take Cavendish right up to the final last 350 meters. Then when he looked at the line, he looked over his shoulder to check, and boom, there went Cavendish for win number 3.
Where does this man get his power from? He weighs, I think he weighs in at 159 pounds, and just look at the pressure in those legs. A second kick, it wasn't even close. If you see it from the air, it was more than a length victory margin for Mark Cavendish. For him in history, it's win number 7. He's now 1 short of joining the British rider Barry Hoban on the British record books as the most wins in the Tour de France. There we are then. Congratulations from George Hincapie and everybody else, and that is our Cadillac performance highlights of stage 10. Let's have a look first of all at the stage results, Paul. Mark Cavendish wins his 3rd stage. Everybody gets the same time. Hushoft is 2nd. Farah is 3rd. Leonardo Duque for Cofidis got 4th. Rojas, who's in that green jersey competition, marking well with a 5th place finish across the line there. See if we can show you any more. Further down, Lloyd Mondry, who's riding very well on Team AG2R. He was 6th. Kenny Van Hummel, who is the last rider overall, but he got up in the sprint for 7th. And Saeed Hadou completing there the top 10 for the B-Box Boeing Telecom team.
Looking further down, Gerard Scholek from Team Milram 11th, Bandiera of Lampre 12th, Sebastian Lang, a team helper for Cadel Evans in 13th place, and Oscar Freire, a little bit of a surprise down there in 15th, behind his lead-out man, Juan Antonio Fletcher.
And of course, Lance Armstrong, Alberto Contador, the race leader, Nocentini, all finishing in the pack and all having +0 after their name because they don't split the time up. And the boys near the top of the classification very rarely get involved in the race for the line. Cadel Evans there in 21, Martin in 25th. Now, I think we've managed to find somebody to chat to down there. I think it's Tyler Farrow. So let's join now Robbie Ventura.
Another great result. So close once again. You tried to dethrone the high road lead out, it looked like a little bit there. Can you explain the last kilometer?
Yeah, it was a harder last kilometer than we expected. We thought the last 200 or 300 meters were a little uphill, but it was like 600 or 700. And well, we tried. The guys were incredible. Just got beat.
What's it going to take to get this guy?
I don't know. Just keep trying. Eventually it'll happen.
2 more stages to come. Opportunities for you to win more, to win a stage. Are you looking forward to the next couple of days?
Yeah, of course. I mean, these are the days I'm here for. I don't do anything in the mountains, so yeah, I'll be really up for it again tomorrow for sure.
With the radios gone, how much did it really affect the race? And it looked like there was some sort of protest going on out there. Can you explain to us a little bit about the mood?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a stage that suited itself to play out exactly like it did. So, you know, I mean, I don't think the lack of radio has really changed anything. It's the way sprint stages go.
Thanks, Tyler. Good luck.
Interesting, the sweat stinging his eyes there, but Tyler is a very confident sprinter, Paul. If he keeps sticking to his guns, he's going to win the stage.
Well, he has to, and that's what being a sprinter is all about. You've got to go for the sprint on every single occasion, because one day or another he's got to hope that Mark Cavendish makes a mistake, Thor Hushovd makes a mistake, and on that occasion he'll cross the line in first place, and I'm sure that we will see him one day or another get himself a stage victory.
All right, as the white towel looks down over the finishing line here, I'm hearing now that hard-working Robbie Ventura has now found George Hincapie. Let's hear what he's got to say.
So was it an organized demonstration of just kind of riding along today to kind of signal that a lot of the riders want radios?
Not really a demonstration, no, I wouldn't say that. I would just say that the sprinter teams all basically agreed that, you know, we didn't want a bigger group than 5 guys going, and we'd control them, keep them at a safe distance.
Well, in the end, you guys did a fantastic chase to bring back that first group. That final was a little bit twisty and uphill in the race Bible. It looked like it was dead flat. Were you surprised by how uphill it was? And can you take me through the last kilometer and how you were doing the lead out for Cav?
Definitely. It was a lot twistier, and it was uphill, which didn't really indicate that in the race Bible. But we knew that. We went back to the car. We had some guys come and check out the final, and they told us that it was uphill from 600 to 100 meters. So we were prepared for that, and they told us the corners were a bit more harder than they looked in the book.
Well, congratulations for Mark Cavendish. Also, not racing with the radios. Something that really no big deal, maybe made into a big deal, or is it something you think that should definitely return to the group?
I think it should return. I mean, cycling has evolved so much over the last 20, 30 years. I mean, there's no reason to look back. Just need to look forward and keep making this an exciting sport.
All right, thanks, George.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, George. The race Bible he's talking about, by the way, is the books all of the riders and organisation give out. They have a drawing of the finish on every stage finish, and apparently the one they drew this time didn't show that little uphill finish. And that was indeed Frankie Andreu, not Robbie Ventura, who is still probably looking for our next interview, Paul.
Well, probably, but nice to see that George is still in his 14th Tour de France, Phil, excited enough to get to the front and lead out his young man, Mark Cavendish.
All right, well, as we gaze out across Issoudun now, the boys are busy. We'll soon be on stage with all of the podiums, of course, and we'll see the new leaders and stage winners getting their respective colours and meeting the local dignitaries here in Issoudun. We'll see you back here in just a moment.
Lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop.
Boom, boom, boom.
Attention! Select Dell Minis come standard with Verizon Wireless Mobile Broadband built in, so you can surf the web, check email, chat, and download on the go. All on America's largest and most reliable 3G network.
I call her lollipop.
Treat yourself to the 10-inch Mini with your choice of 6 colors, starting at just $3.99. Dell, yours is here.
It's coming. This July, the dark side of Comic-Con. Only on FearNet.com.
There's nothing that excites me more.
Only on FearNet.com.
I'm not waiting till my cholesterol's an emergency, so I eat better, move more, and take garlic every day.
Garlic's clinically proven ingredient maintains healthy cholesterol safely and naturally.
Listen to your doctor.
Eat right, exercise, Garlic.
I don't feel my age, and I don't want my skin to show it.
Gold Bond Ultimate Restoring Lotion, moisturizers, vitamins, and restoring CoQ10 help skin renew itself.
Here's the skin I remember.
Gold Bond Ultimate Restoring.
This stuff really works.
A career in medical insurance billing and coding? Check it out. 9-to-5 job? Check. Great benefits? Check. Chance for advancement? Check. Financial security? Check. Feeling better about myself? Check. Proud of my new career? Check, check, check. I went back to school. Now I'm a success in working in the medical field. You can too. Check it out.
Train for a career in medical billing and coding. Call Anthem College at 1-800-698-1809 now.
7 races left, and they're all on Versus. The fastest drivers on the planet are on the final laps to the championship when IndyCar returns to Versus. Sunday, July 26th at 5.
Welcome back. Well, all the prizes are about to be dished out after a routine day in the Tour de France today. No change in the overall standings and no change in who wins all the flat stages, because it's Mark Cavendish again from the Isle of Man in the United Kingdom who gets the victory. And I think we can have a look at that now as we check in on our Land Rover ride of the day.
Well, Phil, looking at the ride of the day, I think it's got to go to a team and a man, because the lead out that was given to Mark Cavendish was one straight out of the handbook of how to lead somebody out for a perfect sprint. Mark Renshaw there doing the lead out for Mark Cavendish in second position. The other two sprinters just sitting on the wheel there, and all of a sudden Cavendish swings off his job done, launching his sprinter Mark Cavendish into the offensive, into the last 250 meters. He really has got an incredible turn of speed. He is so fast, Phil, that the guys behind him can hardly hold on to his slipstream.
Well, I think they should have learned by now they're not going to win by the Cavendish leading them out to the line. They've got to get the drop on him and start the ride to the line ahead of him. That is for sure. Congratulations there from Tony Martin as well, and that is our Land Rover ride of the day, win number 3. So I think he's now come out on the podium. See if we can nip across there. There he is. He's just been called out. So Mark Cavendish, no green jersey will be there for him. He got 5 points more than Tor Hoshoff, but he was 11 behind overnight, so he won't be pulling on green just yet. He actually watched himself on the sprint finish when the replay was on the big screen down here on the finishing line, just after he crossed the line.
It's hard to believe, Phil, looking at this young man, just 24 years of age. It's his 16th win this year, his 48th career victory, and he's only been a pro 3 years.
Yeah. Well, there's the confirmation of his latest victory, and it keeps him the most successful bike rider of the year. He's well up on everybody else, except his own teammate who's not riding, Andre Greipel. Mark Cavendish, Tor Hoshoff, Tyler Farrell's the order. They're all sprinters, Duque and Rocas. Rocas is staying in the green jersey competition there. He'll be up to 3rd with that 5th place, or holding 3rd place, I would think. Monduri Van Hummel is a sprinter. He's having a bad time in the mountains. And also Daniela Bonatti, his team tried to get him there, but he could only manage 9th on the line. Well, let's see if we can get to the podium. We didn't see much of him at all in the race, so we better take a good look at him now, because this is Rinaldo Nocentini.
Well, he's enjoying his yellow jersey. Still that slim lead, Phil. 6 seconds over Alberto Contador and 8 seconds over Lance Armstrong. He's looking fairly solid now until we get to the big mountains, because I think once we do get into the Alps, they're going to really rock his foundations.
Okay, well, that's a lovely, nice 3rd yellow jersey, I think it is now, for Nocentini, in a very routine day. He'll never get away with such an easy ride again. I doubt that. There's the big crowd here. And this is his first Tour de France, by the way, and he had to ask his French team to take him to the Tour de France. But he certainly delivered for them now, hasn't he? As Bernard Hinault is shaking his hands. Let's have a look then at the Hampton Hotel's overall standings. Nocentini leads, no change here. Contador looking for 6 seconds. Armstrong 8. Cloden 54. Now this is interesting, Paul, because in 5th place was Bradley Wiggins, and this is how the information has come. So we must say that this is provisional at the moment.
It could well be that there's a split, because you notice that Levi Leipheimer has also dropped down there on the run in towards the finish. Provisionally, they're putting Bradley Wiggins in 7th place at 1 minute and 1 second. Christian Van der Velde remains where he was in 8th.
Interesting, 61 seconds. That's what Lance won the 2003 Tour de France by, 61 seconds. So it may be there was a split towards the end. If there was, the referees have given separate times, and it may have slightly affected the overall standings. One thinks before Bradley Wiggins will be upset about that. Vladimir Efrakim is 16th here. Cadel Evans, 2nd for the last 2 years, sits 17th, but he's still looking for time. If it was Vladimir Karpic who crashed, of course, he would get the same time, so it wouldn't matter. But the big news today is Mark Cavendish is the man who sits on top of the world as the fastest sprinter in the world right now. And I'm hearing that actually Frankie Andreo's got himself behind the podiums, and guess who he's found? Mark Cavendish. Over to you, Frankie.
Mark, your 3rd stage victory here in the Tour de France. Every time you keep switching your victory salute, what did it mean to you today?
You know, it's another good sponsor of mine, Oakley, and they gave me a set of glasses that were a colour that I like, you know, and I think they look good anyway. They're great performing glasses, and they look good, but I think they look better with a matching jersey. So
that's what you're aiming for, is that matching jersey. But you can tell there's such a difference in your personality when you end up losing out and when you win. How important is it to you to win when you come into these final sprints?
You know, when you're put in the best position, I always say that I'm always put in the best position by the guys, you know, and so if we don't win, it's down to me. It's you know, everybody sees, people can say, oh, you know, he gets the whole team supporting him, that's all he has to do is finish, but, you know, when you lose, when these guys have put so much in, it's a hard thing to take, it's a hard weight to take on your shoulders, you know, especially at a young age, you know, and yeah, so it's hard for me to take when the guys put 100% in and I can't finish off. So when they put 100% in, when everything goes right and you come out top, you know you've done the best that day, and you know you are the best that day, and it's a massive great feeling.
You're getting closer to the green jersey. Next couple days are flatter stages, which should suit your sprinting style. Focused on the stage wins or getting that green jersey, or just all of it?
You know, I'm focused on the stage wins. You know, I want to get to Paris still. I want to win on Champs-Elysees, but obviously the next stage win's coming. And maybe I can build my points back towards Tour, you know, but I'm not going to go for the intermediates like you saw today, but I'm going to go for stage wins, and hopefully the green jersey could come like that anyway. So.
Well, congratulations. Fantastic ride today.
Thank you.
What an interesting character he is, Paul, and he comes not far from where we were both brought up, and he's such a fast finisher.
He really is incredible, magical to watch, and sprinters, when they come out, they are just special characters, and a lot of people have said that Phil, that Mark Cavendish is very brash. I thought there he was extremely humble, because he always turns it around and says he couldn't do it without the team. It's the team that put him in a position and also put the responsibility on his back to come out and actually win the race for them.
Yeah, no, when he gets annoyed, if he loses, he feels he's let everybody down. But the green jersey, he says it's not the actual jersey he's aiming for, but it might still come his way because of all his stage wins. He still thinks he can win more. Now, at the start of the day, Thor Hushovd was in the green jersey. He took it off Mark Cavendish by 11 points. Well, he'll lose 5 points in the sprint today, so he's only 6 points clear now. That's all right. He's clear, so he gets green again.
Well, he still stays in the green jersey. He's a very clever bike rider, Thor Hushovd. He's won this green jersey points competition before, the only Norwegian rider ever to do it. But I tend to agree with Mark Cavendish's philosophy, Phil, not to go for the intermediate sprints and concentrate on winning stage victories. And if he beats Thor Hushovd every time he goes to the line, slowly but surely he will overtake him in the green jersey race.
That would be the theory, because Thor admits he's not as fast as he is, but Thor has the stamina of an aged cyclist to get out front and attack on those 6-pointers out on the course. Mark won't go for those. He's not sure how strong he will be at the end of the Tour. He has never finished the Tour, don't forget. Thor Hushovd has 147 points. He's now 6 ahead of Mark Cavendish instead of 11. Rojas, who finished 5th today, is in 3rd place overall with 97. Didn't see much of Cholik in the sprint. Tyler Farrar was there, though, and he's now up to 5th, and he's got 80 points here. Tyler himself could certainly pierce the top 3 in this competition with the way he... now Thor Hushovd just stepped down and walked straight into Frankie Andreu. Go to you, Frankie.
Thor, a very difficult sprint with the turns and the gradual uphill. Were you aware how the finish was? And I saw you about 100 meters after the line, and I could see the pain on your face of what a hard sprint that was.
Yeah, that was of course a really hard sprint, and they went really fast again, Colombia, and that was really tricky. So in the corner 500-600 meters to go, I just braked too much, and I lost maybe 4 or 5 meters on the Cavendish wheel, and I had to spend too much energy to close that gap.
Sometimes those little errors can make a big difference in the final sprint, but in your head in the sprint, you were thinking about all the riders behind you because you were focusing on trying to get those points for the green?
Yeah, of course, in one point I understand that I could never pass him, so I just have to fight for the 2nd place, and I look behind, there was no trouble, but I'm happy to get the points, but I'm not happy to get 2nd.
With the radios, did it make any effect for today?
Nothing at all. You saw it never been that such a control race today, so I didn't understand why.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Never made any difference, the radios, for Thor Hushovd. He's a winner born and bred, quite simply that, and sprinters don't like getting beaten, but 2nd place keeps him in that green jersey, Paul.
Yes, it's always sad to lose, as I've said on a number of occasions. Probably the worst position you can finish on a stage of the Tour de France is 2nd, but Thor Hushovd will come out and do battle again. And of course, as you said, Phil, he's got the stamina, he's got the tactical knowledge to get himself points when we go into the mountain stages in the Alps, and that's where Cavendish won't score.
Let's go out and have a look who is in the mountains lead then. Here he is, Igor Martinez, getting the polka dot jersey. He really fought hard to get the lead in this competition on the last day in the Pyrenees, on a period when the leaders changed in the polka dot jersey 3 days straight, and that's very unusual. But Igor Martinez now pulls on the polka dot. There's a lot of stages this week, no big climbs at all, but fourth category, third category. He's still got to watch over his shoulder because those short climbs really don't suit him at all. Overall at the moment though, he's got himself a nice little lead over Christoph Kern, who would be a great candidate to return into that jersey over this week. And Franco Pelozzotti, he won't bother to chase points on these flat roads, but Brice Fedu, he might try it, you never know. Well, it wasn't a day for Lance, was it? He sat at the back there. He could, very annoyed. He kept his BlackBerry in his pocket and his telephone, but he had no radio.
Well, it's a strange day for him, and I was surprised to see him riding at the back, but nothing really to write home about. No panic at all for Lance Armstrong this afternoon. He's got to stay in the pack now for the next couple of days and try and rest and recuperate and make sure that he doesn't get involved in any accidents at the front end of the main field, because he has to come out and do battle over the last week of this race.
Well, let's have a look at the white jersey presentation now, but we are still trying to find out about the Bradley Wiggins, and there is a definite time change on the overall, so something happened. This is Tony Martin, his 8th day in the white leaders jersey today, looking very solid. His only contender, in my opinion, is Andy Schleck. Schleck will probably have a much stronger week in the Alps than this young man, so he's got his hands full. He gets a Skoda Yeti, he's got lots of these now. Let's have a look how we stand at the moment. This is the order in the overall classification for the young riders. So Martin is best of the young riders, ahead of Andy Schleck by 49 seconds. Nibali, he rode very well in the Tour of California, you may recall, in February. He's 54 seconds. Kreuziger lost a little bit early on when he was challenging in this competition. Anyway, this is where we are. We're heading around France, of course. We're finding ourselves now dead centre of France, not far away from Paris, actually, but we're turning away from Paris. Tomorrow the race will continue from Niervay-Vatin. It's a little bit of an undulating route, Paul, but not one that will challenge the climbers.
Now, theoretically, it should be another day for the sprinters. It's a stage of 192 kilometres, a little fourth category climb down towards the end at 150 kilometres in, but theoretically should be the same scenario as today.
I would bet Mark Cavendish has this one marked down for the big result tomorrow. Again, stage 11 then is 119 miles. Live coverage starts at 8:30 a.m. That's Eastern time, of course. The expanded coverage with Craig Hummer and Bob Rowe, that comes to you every evening at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. Well, we will also update you in our program tonight about the timing situation regarding Bradley Wiggins, because he's dropped from 5th to 7th overall while the judges sort it out. Maybe the race was split time as they came into the finish, but that'll all come out in the wash, I'm sure. It's been Celebration Day in France. It's Celebration Day in the Isle of Man now as well. All information and confirmation, of course, at versus.com. That's where to go to keep up with the Tour de France. And I hope you're enjoying this coverage of what is turning out to be an intriguing race this year. These boys chasing everything. That's if you don't fall off, of course. Then you just get off and come home as best you can. Anyway, we'll take our little night off. See you all again bright and early tomorrow. Until then, from everybody in France, goodbye for now.